Good morning, good evening, and good day. Welcome to the Z2Z podcast, home of Xbox Achievement Hunters and Gamerscore Junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z2Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do the news, reviews, interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. We get February kickstarted with some Kickstarter discussion in our Talking Zeds feature. We also are going to look at our January goals and how they panned out, and then set some goals for February. I've been playing a couple of betas I'd love to tell you about, and we've also got a ton of knobs and discos to cover, so let's get moving, because I'm planning Peter Molyneux's retirement party, and I have lots to get done. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, Z2Z.com. That's Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. This is episode 7. You can also contact us with questions or comments at Twitter, at Z2Z, or email us directly at contact@Z2Z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Battle Mastery from the game Magic 2015 Duels of the Planeswalkers on Xbox One or the 360. This is a nomination from our friend X Towers, Garrett. The popular and constantly evolving collectible card game boasts an achievement list that is quite similar to all of its predecessors, 2012, 2013, 14, it goes on and on. You got this nice collection of campaign, cumulative, doing things, damage, whatever, or card-specific requirements. But probably the most popular achievement amongst all the people in the community is multiplayer dueling. And this particular achievement, Battle Mastery, is for getting 100 multiplayer wins. Now, you can boost this, so if you are looking for this achievement, you can boost this with a buddy by trading wins, but X Towers prefers his wins legit. His gripe? That this achievement, unlike most of the achievements in the game, does not get you a special title or a character facade or whatever. The most prestigious of their achievements is completely omitted from showing off in-game. He says that the developers know about this, and they totally refuse to fix it. So there's no showing off that you actually did this if you did it legit or even boosted it. And that bums him out. So special thanks to the developer Stainless Games and publisher Wizards of the Coast for this tough achievement with no glorious peacocking after getting it. So let's get this show started with introductions of my co-hosts. Today, I am joined by Crandy.
Hey.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm still a little bit sick, but I'm getting better.
You'll figure it out? Fantastic. Well, I don't think you're sick. Terrigan is also joining me on the show.
Hey there, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Not bad at all. So I sort of teased a tip from last week. I think I'll do it now just to kind of get it out of the way. It's not a hugely amazing tip, and it's kind of one of those... It's been there for a while, but not many people kind of know about it or even necessarily need it. But did you know that there's a way on the Xbox One that you can actually basically refresh the dash? You can actually clear it off and get it to reload all of its assets and your friend feed and all that sort of stuff.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, basically what you do is you just hold both of the triggers on your controller and press Y, and it will actually reload the entire dash if you're on the dash. Which is kind of handy if it's a bit out of date or hasn't showed up new games or things like that. And what was notably useful was your friends list. If you haven't had a friend pop in, say, you probably noticed this in Destiny, people sign on. It doesn't appear in the list in Destiny sometimes. Go to your dash, refresh your dash. It will actually update your friend feed as well, or your friends list. So, yeah, I thought that was a sort of handy one to know. It's been out in the traps for a while, but just thought I'd let people know about it too.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's give the old little reboot.
Yeah.
I always do that when, like, CBS Sportsline or something's not updating. It's like, no, show me what the score is, darn it.
Yeah, so it's probably...
I didn't know my Xbox could do that.
Yeah, I would sort of think it's akin to kind of reloading a web page. So it's basically just goes and refreshes all of the stuff it's meant to load and put on page.
So if you got like an app snapped, does it just retake forever to open? If you refresh?
No, it doesn't touch any other apps. It's only the actual dashboard. So you pop back out with your Xbox thing and go to that. Yeah. One thing I did note though, and the reason I sort of picked it up initially is I was playing. When we had those recent sort of issues where a bunch of achievements just weren't unlocking, they were going into that done unlocking state.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was some server issue there. But I noticed around about the same time I was playing Alien Isolation when this was happening. And I popped out to the dash to do something, and Alien Isolation had become, it was no longer called Alien Isolation. It was called MS Resource Application Name. And I thought, that's interesting. So I tried the dash reset on it, but it didn't work. So, it's an interesting game, MS Resource Application Name. I think you should play it.
Yeah. I
Sounds
had
like a
one.
pretty
What
cool
was
one.
mine?
Yeah.
I was playing when I was playing Disney Infinity 2.0, and the icon was for World of Tanks.
Yeah, that old.
I was like, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the Windows Phone covers turning up in my games library on the 360 on times.
Right.
Too. It's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually had
Out of
a
my
weird one
system.
happen on my 360 one time. I was playing Snipers, which is a really fantastic game. But I had the digital version, and it showed that there was no cover art. It just said something like, "This will be replaced by the cover art when it has finished certification," or something. So about half the time it would show the cover art, and half the time it would show that message. So that was a little interesting.
They got the generic placeholder cover art thing that they do for brand new games.
Well,
Right.
I had never seen it on another game though. It's not the usual one that's like the white background with the Xbox Live thing on it. It's like, this is its own thing, like as if it hasn't been certified or something.
Fair enough.
It's like when they when you can buy games like on Best Buy or Amazon, and they're like placeholder art.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
pretty much exactly what it was.
That's awesome.
That was an interesting one.
Well, let's get this show moving. We have a huge listener feedback section. It is so awesome to hear from everybody who has been listening to the show, has enjoyed it, reached out to us through so many different social media scenes and avenues. It's been fantastic, and we love to hear it as well. So, and we want to share that with everybody who's listening and give you all a huge thumbs up for it. So let's move into our listener recap section. We'll start in TA, where we've all put up TA feed. It's on we got our leaderboards. We got all sorts of fun stuff at TA. We did miss one from last week. Jellied Bigfoot snuck in one after we had passed that section, and he asks, do you guys ever think we will see a Dead Space on the Xbox One? And what would you like to see if that was the case? Them to remaster it, reboot, backwards compatible, come up with Dead Space 4? What do you guys think?
I think it's inevitable that there will be a Dead Space. I suspect it's going to be a sequel. But beyond that, I wouldn't know. I think Dead Space 3 was received pretty well, as I recall. I could see it happening. There hasn't really been any hints of a remaster or anything like that.
I haven't heard that stuff either.
Yeah, backwards compatibility is definitely a possibility, as with anything there. But
I think backwards compatibility is more of a thumbs up than anything else. I think Dead Space will get the backwards compatibility treatment, and then based on that kind of excitement, maybe from that, they'll go into an announcement of, and I think it'll be a reboot. I don't think it'll be, I don't think you'll be playing as Isaac. If there's a new game, I don't think it'll be Isaac. I think it'll be a new, like, Dead Space Andromeda.
See, I
They'll try to beat Mass Effect out.
I kind of had the impression that Dead Space 3 was received pretty poorly from my understanding. Yeah, I haven't played any of them.
I think it was the co-op, the tacked on co-op.
Yeah,
that
was
people were upset about.
Big part of it, and a lot of people that I heard were kind of felt like it strayed from its horror aspect and felt more of like a fast-paced third-person shooter. I mean, not like fast-paced, but kind of was leaning towards that versus my understanding of the original that was very horror.
Survival horror.
Yeah, more of a survival horror than a third-person shooter, where it kind of drifted
that's what
toward
leads me to
a third-person shooter.
Yep, and that's what leads me to think it's going to be a reboot, that they're going to go back to straight up survival horror with, like Alien Isolation, as popular as it was, and there isn't really a lot of great traditional survival horror games out there. Outlast or Amnesia, those types of games.
And I think we see
popular.
that too with the re-releases of Resident Evil and how well received those have been. And those, I mean, I didn't play the original Resident Evil, but I did play some Resident Evil Zero, and I mean that was a hard game. That was a very punishing survival horror game. So I think we're kind of seeing a resurgence in that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I kind of wonder in that space, though, if they're ever really going to be, like, they're kind of a, horror itself is a kind of a niche of its own. It's a popular niche, but it's not going to be as widely well received or played as, say, an action adventure would. It just hasn't got quite the same market. So I kind of wonder whether the move for Dead Space 3 going to that kind of gameplay, to the more action adventure-y shooty kind of gameplay rather than the strict horror, is actually more of a decision to try and actually expand the player base of the game. And if that worked, I mean, I don't know what the sales were like for Dead Space 3, but I didn't hear about it tanking or anything like that. It may well have a wider appeal in that particular format, so they may end up opting to use that same format or something like that for Dead Space 4. Who knows? But yeah, I certainly don't think Dead Space is a successful franchise. I don't think it's dead yet. In that space.
I don't think so either. I think, like you guys, I think we'll see something, whether it's a remaster, a reboot, a new game. I think it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It
will happen. Just a matter of when, and the timing will be right.
And who knows? Maybe it'll be poorly received. But I think they'll try at least.
Yeah.
Dead Space is EA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter Moore does not care for the remaster. It's not going to be remastered. He's publicly said, I'm not doing remasters. But I could see him doing the backwards compat. So there you go. That's what I'm thinking. Actually, to tell you the truth, I don't think EA would do it. I think they might outsource it to a smaller developer, and to kind of give them a shot at this IP. Maybe second party for them.
Maybe Telltale and get a Telltale Adventures Dead Space or something.
There you go. Now you're talking.
I've done everything else.
Do you want to sever the necromorph's legs, arms, head, do nothing?
All of the above.
The necromorph will remember that.
That's fantastic. All right, let's move on. Terrigan, you got some hits.
Yeah, let's see. I got what was that? There was a comment, just a little side comment in the GTASC recap thread, actually, from Pete924, who said, just in response to something I wrote, so PSZZ, now that I've listened to your podcast, I can't help reading your posts in your accent. And to that I say, what accent?
Yeah, right? We're all the weirdos.
Yeah, all of you guys have got that.
Exactly. Everyone's got an accent, just not to themselves.
Except me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. All right. I had another comment on one of the last show's blog post. Mad Eye Pad Eye saying, enjoying the show, guys. Great question from Patrick Bell. That was regarding the Rare games, I think, wasn't it? I forget.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. I had a laugh regarding Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Fred letting me copy to dive. It's one of the 15 or so original Game for Windows lives that you can reuse the Windows key. I think you'd know a bit about this, Crandy.
Yes, that is one. It uses the what I call the generic key. All the keys were compatible across all of the games, and they can be used an unlimited amount of times. They're, as far as I know, not checked against any kind of online server whatsoever. I don't know how they work. But I've used a Kane and Lynch key for about 20 different games about 50 times. So they do any game that uses that kind of key will work with a key from any game.
Yeah, what I suspect is going on there is that they've just got a little bit of internal checking. So they've got like a check digit on the key. So as long as the rest of the key matches, and then you've got the check digit to say, yes, this is legit, then it will be a key, and it will work for a lot of things.
Yeah, that was kind of my guess on how it worked too. Was some kind of code in the key that worked.
Yeah. So, I mean, he goes on further to say others like Gears 2 and Halo are the same. So if you see a used copy, you should be okay to reuse the code. He says it's around about 10 uses or something like that. But I guess it will depend on the game. Some of them are
and just a note on
use.
that, too, Halo is actually a little bit different. It uses a similar authentication to Shadowrun and Viva Pinata. I think you can get about 3 or 4 installs off of those ones, but you can also uninstall it and use it again. So you can have about 4 installed at once. But if you choose to uninstall them, you can trade it and sell it, and it'll work again. So just a note on those ones, too.
Yep.
Nice.
All right, moving on. I got a couple of PMs from Handy Darkness. Hello. He has got a couple of suggestions for some future topics, which I'll go through. So he's wanted to see if we would talk about arcade games that are boostable. Now, we sort of talked about this before the show. There's actually a lot of arcade games that are boostable. So I suspect if we were going to do a topic like that, we would probably look at games that have multiplayer that may go away sooner rather than later. So I could certainly see us doing a topic like that.
Definitely take a little research on that one, I think.
Sure would, yeah.
It would be interesting.
Yeah. It's also said he's picked up a copy of Orcs and Men for you, Frame.
Shut up.
Yeah. So you might just want to get in touch with him about that. He said basically all you have to do is cover shipping, and I think it's yours from what I read there.
That sounds awesome. But wait, hold on. So this is still coming out of UK, though, right? Like that means
it'll still be the PAL version, and I think it is stuck to PAL consoles only, from what I gather. So
is there a way to like rejigger my 360 to be a PAL console? I think I need a PAL console, right?
Yeah, you do.
And
unless you like want to get banned.
Yes. Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Hey, public service. So I know I've seen the show stats, and I've got a huge bunch of listeners out in Minnesota. My guess is that shipping from Minnesota is not as significant as shipping from California. So if you got a PAL console you want to let me borrow so I can play this game that Handy is letting me play, that would be awesome. You can send me a message because, hey, we can even play together. We'll have a community play date. Because, yeah, I can't afford to ship a PAL console and ship a game to play, even though I'm super excited about it. This is great. So thank you, Handy, if this indeed shows up or whatever. I don't even know how this works.
Well, just give me.
I got money for shipping.
Shoot him a PM, and we'll work it out.
Well,
anyway.
if you do change your mind, my offer still stands. You can borrow one of my PAL consoles if you want to ship it from California.
Maybe you can wait until Christmas.
Again?
Yeah.
You know, my birthday's next week.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe we'll pass the hat around.
But yeah, I do have 2 PAL consoles, so you could borrow one of them.
That's obscene.
Yeah. It was actually cheaper to replace one of my dead consoles with what I wanted. Or no, it wasn't cheaper. It was only slightly more expensive to replace it with a PAL console. So I opted to replace one of my NTSC consoles with a PAL console.
Can you get like PAL consoles like locally? Like if I go on, I'm not going to find one on like Best Buy, right?
No, the easiest way to get them, you have to buy them new. But what I did is you can buy them from Amazon UK. They will ship to the US for a flat rate of £5. So with the exchange rate, it works out being almost exactly the same price in US dollars, like when you convert the pounds to US dollars, as it would be to buy an NTSC console. So you just pay the £5 shipping, and then they will ship it to you from the UK. Brand new Xbox.
Dang.
Yeah, so that's what I did. You can also add other stuff on that order. I don't know how much, but I got the console and a game for a flat shipping rate of £5. Both of these were shipped and sold by Amazon. So I think as long as everything
tells me
is like Prime eligible, I didn't get Prime shipping, but the Prime eligible items.
I was going to say, do you have Prime? Because I'm wondering if my Prime is going to work. Will they next day it for
I
from
think
the
it
UK?
only took like 5 days. It was really quick. It was packed really well.
That's awesome.
I had a great experience with that. So if you want to get a PAL console, it ended up being,
man.
I think it was just slightly over $200 US.
Just chuck it into your Amazon wish list.
Part of me kind of is thinking like, because there's a lot of PAL games out there. Like I could just start getting some regional stack action going.
Exactly.
I never considered that.
Well,
before.
I've got plenty. If you want to borrow them, just pay shipping.
I'm inspired by
pay shipping.
episode whatever.
I can access a few. Yeah,
Is that episode
Yeah,
5?
just a few.
yeah. Just
Fine, all right.
all right.
You're getting dangerous here, guys. Dangerously close to opening my wallet.
This is what happens when you hang out around with people that have like combined like every game on the platform.
Oh my god, I'll get into that comment later. Well, let's keep going here.
All right. The final thing from Handy was on the subject of stacks. He's suggesting that we do something covering where exactly to get them. So, like where to routinely get games, such as Japanese versions of games and things like that. We were planning on doing an episode like that, so I won't go into some of the details now. But
I think
that is
that'll
something
be
that we're
a long chat on that one.
Yeah, so we are going to go into that in the future. Can't really give you an ETA, but yes, it's on the cards already.
We might have
That'll
to
be one
do
you
an
definitely
episode.
want to check out the show notes.
Yeah, we might have to do an episode per region or country or something because that could go
Oh my
on.
goodness.
I suppose most of the sort of super rare stuff you're going to find in the Games for Windows Live stuff, and then the Japanese market, probably the main things, or China even.
I think when we get into super rare, we talk more like Korean stuff, China stuff that is excessivly hard to get locally.
Yeah, I think so. I suppose what Handy's referring to is more just the generic places you would get sort of the not normal. Normally available stuff. So things like the Japanese visual novels and things like that.
And I think that's probably what's going to apply most to our listeners too is the stuff that people are realistically, so more than 3 people in the world are trying to get their hands on.
Or six people at once for BioShock Korea or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah. Well, certainly. We'll put that on the cards as something we'll cover as well. I think that's a good idea. All right, I got a PM from Gamer Grog. We just had a bit of a back and forth about the Witcher 2 being free, and there was actually with a bit of trickery, you can get the stack version of that as well, because they have a US and a sort of PAL European version. You can actually get both for free if you work on it. But he, as a just sort of an offhand comment at the end of one of those posts, he said, also, loving the podcast. Good work, mate. So I just wanted to give him a thumbs up for that. Thanks for the feedback. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Gamer Grog's from Australia.
Yeah.
You thick as thieves, you two.
Yeah, he's another guy without an accent.
That's right. Well, I got a comment from Cursed Souls, who's a Canadian brethren, much like you were, Randy.
Well, I still am a Canadian citizen.
Oh, you dual citizenship?
No, not yet. I'm not an American citizen yet.
What's that all about?
Get out!
No.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to a bunch of foreigners.
You immigrants coming here and stealing our jobs.
Exactly.
I'm not even American.
I actually just got authorized to work in the U.S. just a couple months ago. So
it blows my mind. Anyway, so Cursed Souls, our Canadian friend from the AHP, he said, "Hey, congrats on the Mordor completion." Saw that on my my friend feed there. And I did. I finished it. It was awesome. So thank you, Cursed, for checking that out. And then we got a few comments, both in terms of Twitter and also on my activity feed. So Ravioli Capone, one of the hosts of the AHP, the Achievement Hounds podcast, he says, is Terrigan still refraining from buying more games? And, of course, McLovin Legend also asking, did you accomplish your goal, Terrigan, about not spending any more money?
Well, yeah. Let's wait and talk about that once we get to kind of the monthly recap, because I kind of added that to my monthly challenge for this month. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
We'll circle back.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And Randy, do you have anything on your friend feed?
Yeah, I got a few comments. I got a comment from Planet 13. He says, "Good job. I highly recommend giving this a listen. Thank you for the feedback."
Awesome.
I also got a comment from Ravioli Capone. He said, "Love the show." And I got another comment from Guy DeRay, and he said, "Will Zed become undead at any point?"
Zed is undead, baby.
Zed's undead, baby.
Well, there we go.
Zed's undead.
That's fantastic. Well, we can move over to Twitter here. We got a bunch of new followers. So
I did get a cheers from Large Coffee.
Nice.
Okay.
He is one of our new followers, and probably my favorite Twitter name It is the letter C, open bracket, underscore, closed bracket. And so his name looks like a cup of coffee. Oh, it's so fantastic. So
That's awesome.
Large
I love that
Coffee,
one.
awesome Twitter handle. Grumpa 782, Bubba Joe Whoopass, Patrick Maka. You can find him at P Maka 1991.
That's Macca of Macca's Guides. Just as a side note, you probably all know his guides by the little giggle.
Absolutely. I can't wait to talk to him because I need to figure out how to pronounce his name because I see that as Maka, and he probably will say, "You are butchering my name, stop doing it."
Well, he says it. Like the person says it at the start of every video. I don't know why people have trouble with it.
Right?
Macca's Guides.
Macca's Guides. Anyway. And then we also got a follow from Master Adamo. And so Master Adamo, I met playing some Homefront Revolution, the beta, which I'll get into a little bit more in detail. But so we were playing on one of the missions, and there's part of the mission where we got on some motorcycles, and I got hung up on some dudes, so I had to ditch my motorcycle, and he clipped me with his motorcycle and killed me. and thankfully he felt bad about it and came back and revived me. So once we finished the mission, I had to take off and get my son to bed. And he said he sent me a private message on TA or on Xbox messaging, and he said, "Hey, just I looked at your gamer card. I wanted to say I saw your gamer score. Kudos. That's a great score." And I sent him a reply. I said, "Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, but I run with some friends who put my gamer score to shame. I mean, you want to see some gamer score? Look at the people I'm associated with." And I mentioned, "Hey, look, you like gamer score? Check out the show." And he's like, "Yeah, I think I will." So, Master Adamo, if this is your first show you're listening to, or you went to our back catalog, I hope you enjoyed it and you got your call out there. So, those are our new followers. Some of our new followers. We'll get into some other comments from our new followers as well. But I also wanted to give a shout out to all of our retweets. NBA Kirkland, True Achievement, and Large Coffee gave us some retweets on our episodes. Thank you for helping spread the word.
Yeah.
Super appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the best things you can do, really, is be just retweeting episodes, spreading it on Facebook, that sort of thing. The more people we can reach, the more people will listen to the show, the more people we can engage with. We love doing that, and we want to spread the show as far as we can. So anything you can do to help us is really great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And iTunes reviews or whatever reviews, those also help.
Yep.
But hey, more Twitter, more social media. Friend of the show, Joe Carter from Twitter, Angel8SK. Sorry, I tromped all over that one.
Angel SK.
Angel SK.
Yes.
She had been listening back when we were talking about how excited we are about Thimbleweed Park. She said, "You probably already know this, but belatedly listening, there was a Kickstarter for Thimbleweed Park, and she backed it. I did not know there was a Kickstarter for Thimbleweed Park because I would have backed it. That sounds exactly like what I would have liked, but we will talk about our Kickstarter fun later in the episode in our Talking Zeds part of it, but did you back it, Terrigan?
I did not, actually. I just missed it. I remember seeing it at the time, and I think even on that episode I thought, is that the one from Kickstarter? And it turns out it was. I did actually, in the show notes, I went and actually searched for it afterward, and I found the Kickstarter, and he's actually in the show notes for that episode. But yeah, I would have probably backed that one too if I had known, but I just missed out. I think it was like it had got funded, and I saw the note that it had got funded, and it was too late by then, obviously. But
absolutely. So, Terrigan, you want to trump into some more?
Sure, yeah. All right, well, we had Ben Parson, Griffey96, that's at Griffey96 on Twitter. I suspect that is also the same Griffey95, Game Attack on True Achievements.
It's his older brother. He's older by a year, or younger by a year.
So he said, finally got around to listening to the backlog. Great show, guys. And so, yeah, thank you, Ben. That's awesome.
And I'm just kidding. I know that Griffey 95 is not the year he was born. He's much older than 95, than being born in 95. That's just the year he started his account. So maybe he started Twitter in 1996. Yeah. That seems a little early for Twitter.
I'm
not sure people were tweeting.
No, I don't think it existed
then. He's pretty cutting edge, I guess.
He's a time traveler.
Yeah. Yeah, he picked up a Twitter server and put it back into the internet.
Fantastic.
10 years before it existed. We also have Coffee Large at Coffee Large, which would be large coffee, of course. Love what you guys are doing. It makes for great listening at work. So, he's been chatting it up with us for sure. Thank you once again. That's awesome. Love to hear that feedback. Now, there's a couple from Angel SK again. She asks, have you had any chances to play any VR games out of curiosity? And she also follows it up with, I've had a play of the Vive Aperture Labs simulation and Adventure Time on the Gear VR. Not bad, still a ways to go. So what about you guys? You done any VR stuff?
Nope. I haven't seen, well, I've seen them, but I haven't played any. I haven't seen any actually in person. I've seen like some video of some stuff,
Same.
but that's about the extent of it.
There was an Oculus Dev 2 kit at an event that I was asked to help run for Extra Life, but it coincided with a weekend I could not get away, and so that was my missed opportunity. I would love to try out VR. I am like so excited. I'm finally catching up on podcasts where they're talking about VR again. And, with the announcement of the Oculus price and just PlayStation VR coming out and all these things, people going to events and playing these things. And it's just like, to hear them try to explain how VR works, it's like trying to dictate a movie to someone. Like, you can get some high points, but like actually watching and experiencing it is so different than being told what they're feeling. And so like, I feel like I need to get in there and just take a gander and hopefully not puke, but I think they've got that pretty much squared away now. But man, I really want to do that so bad.
Yeah, well, maybe you both should come down to Melbourne sometime. We can go to the zero latency
I would
VR
so
game.
do that.
Because that's the only thing I've actually done, and there was actually a early release access to zero latency when they were setting up, which I got into, and they basically just had 2 players. They've now expanded to 6 players at a time, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, the 2-player one I went into, basically they sort of the way it works is they separate the players so that they're a distance from each other, but then they're mapped into each other's world through the goggles, and that way you're actually able to move around within limits. And you basically being a co-op person within this particular scenario. So we went through a few scenarios. It was kind of a zombie apocalypse kind of simulator thing. And the one that was sort of really stood out, I think, was the final one, which was basically in this kind of like a anteroom of a big house, and it had like 2 staircases going up on one side, and then doors at either end of the room, and then a front door. So you can sort of imagine it's kind of a big open space, and they had like a table there with guns and stuff you could pick up. And zombies would just break through the doors and start coming down the stairs and things like that, and you had to kind of keep on top of them as these waves of zombies happened. And it was very intense. You sort of don't, you kind of seeing this horde of zombies coming through one door, and you're shooting away at them, and it's like, yep, no problem. And then you don't realize, like, your partner goes, look behind you, and you turn around, there's a zombie right in your face, and it's like, ah! And yeah, it was really, really intense. And yeah, I could have done that for quite a lot longer, I think, when we only had about a 30-40 minute session. So
sounds like a lot of fun. I'm sure I could find one. I'm real close to San Francisco, and there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of tech in that area. So I'm sure I could find something somewhere, but I haven't looked. Maybe I should do that.
That just hearing you talk about that makes me excited. Like that sounds so cool.
Yeah, you would love it, especially just because for the theme, especially. And the 6-player stuff sounds like it'd be awesome. I don't know how big how they managed to do that, but it's.
Yeah, if it was that intense with 2 people, I imagine 6 is even crazier.
Yep.
Were there any melee weapons, or just had guns?
You could I think push zombies away. So if they're right up on you, they could grab you, and you could push them away. But yeah, it's mostly just guns, because you're also holding a gun. So
that helps.
Yeah, but you could actually change it. You could pick up Uzis and things like that for spray and pray kind of shots.
Can you pistol whip?
I think that was just a generic kind of melee thing, just to get them off you. Yeah, so yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think I might have unwittingly killed my partner though, right at the end, because we were sort of getting there and we were starting to get swamped, and like I was doing okay and keeping him off me, but my partner was kind of just not keeping up with things that were on him, and
Noob.
yeah, so he was like there and dying, so I started shooting the zombies that were around him, and I think I must have hit him. So, because like, oh, I'll get them for you, bang, bang, bang. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
You just didn't want him coming back. That's what you were.
See, he's dead. He doesn't know that you killed him.
Right.
Sure, yeah. All right, so let's move on. I've got another tweet from Montana97. It's at GT Montana97. He's sent us a picture of something he got off one of his customers' cars, and so I'll just bring up the picture there. It's an Australian government picture, the Department for Pandemic Control. And this
it's got that very prominent biohazard
sure
symbol
does,
on
yeah.
there too.
And I also noticed the weapons authorization number and stuff. And
I like the security clearance level 7.
It's like, wow. So this is
this dude's legit.
This is basically the official government zombie cleanup guy. That's what he does, I think.
You know what? I'm thinking this is Frank West. This is Frank West's car.
He's covered wars, you know.
He's covered wars.
He's doing moonlighting in Australia now for the government. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. I bet that's what that is. So, and I like the last tweet here. I
like the big kangaroo on there. Yeah. It's a zombie kangaroo, so you got to watch out for those.
And the emu, right? That's an emu next to it.
Yep.
You have to take this is fantastic for an audio podcast.
Hey, you thought Australian fauna was scary before?
Yeah, zombie emus. You have to take a look at the show notes. We'll put the picture in the show notes.
I'll put a link up for it. Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, so website comments. Freem, you want to handle these ones?
Absolutely. So, as per usual with our website, we've got a comment from Facial LaFleur, and it's long. He was really interested in how the game publishers. He has some comments about how game publishers and what they want to do to service their customer and what they want to do to make money, and kind of how that all plays out to ensure that maybe we continue to pay a little bit more and keep lining their pockets, as well as how things end up working with server closures. So it's a great read. You can catch it on our website at z2z.com.
Yeah, I'll put a link to it in the show notes direct as well.
Absolutely. And then and he also comments, he said, hey, I'd say 90 minutes to 2 hours is that sweet spot for keeping his attention, and so far you've been pretty consistent. So we'll see if we can keep that trimmed down as well. But that's that's probably where they're going to end up being. Thank you again for commenting on that.
Yeah, that's good to know, because I was always kind of a little worried we were going a bit long. But
yeah, same here. But I guess that was actually the only feedback on the length, so we haven't really heard anything negative on the length per se.
Absolutely. So. And then our other website comment, Large Coffee, shows up on the website. So he's hit us on Twitter, TA, and our website. Thank you, Large Coffee. You are a social media genius. You are
or genius or junkie, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Omnipresent in our social media world. So we appreciate the engagement. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll move on to Skype. I've got a couple of comments I got direct on Skype. First one was from Nick Monfries, who had a feature. His achievement, his suggested achievement was the sponsored achievement last week from Red Dead Redemption. And he basically said, after listening to us, he went, "No, I got goosebumps from that." So, yeah, good. That was the plan.
That reminds me, you know what? So, Crandy, you know what so my son got strep throat this week, and so he was at home from school on Friday, and I came home, and you know what they rented from Redbox? What? Goosebumps the movie.
See, I didn't get to see that. I really wanted to see it. Was it? Good.
It was really good. Yeah, I sat and I was like, I got back from the gym and I'm like, all right, I should probably go shower. And so I'm standing there and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna finish watching this. We'll get to that later. And yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I'm sure you, as an R.L. Stine fan, will appreciate that. And he makes a cameo in the movie. So keep your
Well,
eye
that's-
out for R.L. Stine. There's a clever little interaction with R.L. Stine in that movie.
So
So
that's
does
good.
R.L.
Maybe-
Stein talk with Stan Lee or? Oh, wrong franchise.
Kind of. Well, so are you familiar with the way the movie works?
Kind
So
of. I know it's kind of like the
R.L.
game,
Stein
but a little
is
bit different.
him. Yeah. So like the movie is related. So R.L. Stein
Well,
is
don't
a
spoil
person
it.
in the movie.
Don't spoil it yet.
And he. Oh, I won't. But he writes the books, and the books come to life.
Okay, yeah,
And so
yeah,
it's
that.
R.L. Stein. Yeah, like
Yep.
as the character, like these books are coming to life. What's going on? So, and he's played by Jack Black.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
in-
that
in
was
the
my
movie.
understanding of the movie, and it's kind of implied in
Yeah.
the game. So that's cool.
Yes.
That's cool that it was good, because I was kind of concerned that they were going a little too broad and kind of, I don't know.
It works.
That's-
and I
that's
bet if
good.
you knew the books, because I never read the books, so like I recognized all the books, but I missed a lot of those little nods to them.
Yeah, see,
And so
because
I think you'd appreciate.
I didn't read a ton of them, but I did. I mean, I read a fair bit of them, but I didn't read like all of them. But I read a lot of the classics. So
There you go.
yeah, maybe I'll have to
So
Redbox
I was thinking
that.
of you when I saw it.
Anyway, let's get back on track. So just on that Nick Monfrey's achievement, if anybody does have any suggestions for sponsored achievements, anything that they've got special little stories on, or just ridiculous achievements that deserve a bit of a shout out,
Solo champion.
let us. Yeah, yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, that'll come up when you earn it,
Yeah.
noob.
So yeah, if any suggestions you've got for those, shoot them through on Twitter or wherever you can contact us. All right, so I had another comment from Jamie, which is C Monkey Powder. He said, "Hey man, I'm not just saying this, but every episode of your podcast I listen to, I learn something helpful. Just got Just Dance 2015 for X1 and 360 idling away for the VIP achievements as we speak, which was one of the ones that sort of came back last week. Plus, the rare games section was a good listen. I heard you say you have some saved searches on eBay for certain games. I do too for a long time now. There might be a time when we end up in a bidding war. Yeah, we'll see. I've got my eye on you."
You guys
Well,
should
it might
just
be
go in
2-on-1.
cahoots right? There you go. Well, regardless, you two Australians will spend a ton of money on everything because your exchange rate is so horrible.
This is true. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
well,
the
that's
exchange rate
no
in the
different.
old countries are hurting more than Australia these days.
Oh no, that's terrible. Well, we also our final outlet of social media that was breached this week. WT Buffs 87. Thank you so much for leaving an iTunes review. We absolutely appreciate it. He said, "Great show for any Xbox gamer, especially the achievement hunter and us all. Keep up the good work and enjoy the production quality over some other achievement-related podcasts. Keep it up." Thank you, WT Buffs. We appreciate that. Friend from the Achievement Hounds forums and various other TA boosting sessions that I've done with him. So thank you for the review, and kind of just one last mention to everybody from for our social media action here. We absolutely appreciate every single comment, and it's really great to know that people are listening and enjoying, because that really engages us. And if you can't tell from the inflection in my voice, it's fantastic. I love hearing all the positivity, and I'm sure when we get our first negative comment, I'm gonna love that too, because it'll just be fun. So I
help us
feel like I just
improve.
opened the floodgates.
It'll help us.
Right.
It'll help us improve, and I will hunt you down.
So, dude on the internet, if you didn't care for the show,
It's on you, whoever leaves the first negative comment. Just saying.
Anyway, I think we just opened the door to negative comments.
You will be
But we also like
immortalized in the
we like the
podcast as our
positive
first
ones,
negative
too.
comment. Or first negative comment.
So fantastic. Well, that was awesome listener feedback section. Let's move into what we've been playing this last week. So, Zaragan, with that being said, what have you been playing this last week?
Well, I've been playing a bit, actually. So I'm still playing through Alien Isolation, gradually getting through the story on that. I'm about 3/4 of the way through now, I think. This is on hard, so it's the sort of not the super nightmare difficulty, but the hard one that'll unlock the hard achievement, amongst other things. Then I've got to go back and clean that up. There's a bunch of collectibles and things I'll do in another playthrough. I played a little bit of the Gone Home console edition. I didn't actually want to use this, but because it's actually a very quick completion, and I've already played through it once just for playing through the story. But I needed to get an exact amount of achievement points. There was a bonus last week for the GTA SC where all players had to end in a team, had to end on a multiple of 1,000 gamer score. And so basically I just used a couple of achievements in Gone Home just to get my value up to that exact threshold, just because they were sort of nice and easy and it was in the last few days. Another thing I've been doing this week, though, and this will be of particular interest to people in the GTA SC, Xbox Fitness. You know how we were talking on a previous episode about how they'd patched out Kinect support, or that they now allow you to play it without the Kinect. Now, I thought, okay, well, how does this affect achievements? So I've actually gone and jumped in there and basically turned off my Kinect, which you can just do through your settings. You don't need to unplug it. Turn off your Kinect and play, and I just thought I'd see what I can actually unlock. So the bad news is there are some achievements you just cannot touch. Anything to do with the star ratings or drill challenges, things like that. Anything to do with specific tracked movements. So like balancing or throwing punches, things like that. Anything that has to be tracked by the Kinect in that way, that won't count. You won't be able to get those. However, the good news is that for every sort of drill or every sort of thing you go through, every workout, you do get a small amount of fitness points for each one. So they will actually work towards some of the cumulative achievements. So it's like one's earning like 3 million fitness points or something like that. You will be able to grind that out by playing through these workouts without the Kinect turned on. However, probably the most important one, the stamp cards. I don't know if you guys know about the stamp cards in Xbox Fitness. They're basically every time you do, so it's like challenges associated with workouts, and once you complete a challenge, then it will give you a stamp or a number of stamps on a card. You get 10 stamps, you unlock a stamp card. And there's achievements tied to that. There's various achievements going, sort of ranging from the first one, just one, all the way up to a title update, which bumped it to 100. So now, because it's a title update, and because they're not particularly well sort of known about, the stamp card achievements are actually very high ratio and have a huge number of TA associated with them. So for GTA SC, these are a godsend because they're actually it's actually not that difficult to get them. And the good news is you can work on stamp card achievements without your Kinect. And further to that, there's actually a glitch as well for the stamp cards that allows you to rack up the stamps relatively quickly without going through an entire workout if you just set it up in a certain way. I'll link in the show notes to the place I got the info on that particular glitch, but just thought I'd put that out there, that if you are in the GTA SC and you don't have a Kinect, you now have access to a pool of about 5,000 TA that you can get access to in Xbox Fitness.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, they're very high value. I mean, each of the ones in the title update, there's like ones for 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 stamp cards, and they're worth about 400 to 500 TA each. Plus a bunch of others in the main game. So yeah, there's a pool of a kitty of about 5. It might even be 5,500 TA that you can get there. So anybody in the GTA SC, and if you don't have a Kinect and you haven't been able to access that before, take a look, because that's probably something that you might save you in a week.
How recent is this title update?
The title update's been out for quite a while. It's not new. I think it's just people.
It's just nobody bothered doing it.
Yeah. So the only people who've sort of gotten those are either people who really do work out that much, or people who have basically taken advantage of this glitch. So yeah, and because it's a title update, the title updates are calculated a bit differently than regular DLC, and as such, their ratios tend to be significantly higher. Because they're counted against the entire population of the game rather than just the population of the DLC. So, yeah, they're quite high value. And
I thought they switched to the geometric mean.
They did that for regular DLC, but they also switched for title updates. The argument being
full game.
the argument being that title updates are available to everybody, and they're in fact enforced. Everybody who has the game and is playing the game has the title update. They just have it by default, so they've got access to that. So whether or not that's the right sort of thing to do, that's another discussion for another time. But that is the way it works, and yeah, there's some very high value achievements to get there. Though of course you won't be able to get the completion without a Connect, but yeah, you can certainly get something out there. Moving on, other games I played this week. Played a little bit of Lines. I've kind of just gotten Lines on Windows Phone, got all the levels out of the way on that. A little bit of grinding left to complete that one off. So that'll add to my tally for your completion challenge there, Freem. Bioshock 2 Korea. Just did that this morning actually with Crandy. We just knocked out the 6-player achievements and did a little bit more level grinding. And then I've got a few. I worked on my to-do list this week, so I knocked a few off there. World Snooker Championship 2007. I had one on there for one of the winning the challenges ones. So I just thought I'd note this one again. I heard about this off the Achievement Hounds podcast originally, and they heard about it from Redemption Denied. So I'll just so that's credit where that's due. But there's actually a couple of cheat codes for that game, and there's also for World Snooker Championship 2007, and I think they also work for 2009 and 2011. It basically allows you to essentially win every game. You just basically select win. And so you can play through the entire championship series and unlock all the achievements. They're also actually fairly high TA as well. So if you're looking for a boost for GTA SC, that might be one to look at. Again, not one for a completionist, but without a lot of work anyway. But you can get a lot of high value GA or gamer score and TA out of that. And the other ones was Battle vs. Chess. I had a to-do list achievement in that. I'll just mention that if you're looking for any help in those kind of chess games, there's actually a chess engine that you can download. It's completely free. It's called Stockfish, and it's regarded as one of the best chess engines out there. There will be a lot of front ends for that. So yeah, if you need anything for Battle vs. Chess or any other chess game, look for that. Don't bother with sort of web ones.
I know, that's how I kind of got through that game. I ended up using web ones, but I'm not very good at chess. And that saved me many a time.
Yeah, well, there's no way I was going to get like Fritz Killer, which is basically beat a level 6 opponent. So it's almost as the hardest setting you can do in the game. But yeah, Stockfish, just beat the crap out of it. It was pretty easy. And I also played Jillian Michaels' Fitness Adventure. 2 copies of that, actually, the European and the NTSC copies of those for a couple of items off my to-do list. And that was about it for me. Crandy, what have you been doing?
I've had quite a busy week as well. I haven't really been in school too much, so I had a chance to play some stuff. I did both Dead Rising 2 Case Zero and Case West Korea this week.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I finally got around to doing those. I've had them for a little bit, and I ripped through. I did both of them in one play in record times. I did Case Zero in an hour and a half, Case West in 2.5 hours. So that was pretty good on those.
So you're going to do a speed run?
Yeah, well, I did on Case Zero, because I tried on my last attempt of Case Zero to do a speed run and all in one play, but I got greedy and I blew it. So this time it worked out. I had a new strategy. I ended up using the push cart that doesn't break at the beginning to get around and make all the combo weapons. So that saved me a lot of time. Then I moved on to Guitar Hero Live on both the 360 and the One. That got an achievement fix this week, which I'll talk about later in Knobs and Discos, but I've been working on that horrible grind in Guitar Hero TV. So made some good progress on those. Hit level 20 on the 360. Got my 100 plays in on the 360. Now I'm going to do a little more work on the One. I played a little more Volgar the Viking. I can almost get through level 3 now without running out of Viking souls. So I'm getting there. So that one's still going to be a ways off. I played some Gra, of course.
What? No.
Of course. Actually,
yeah,
I had
of course. You didn't do it last week.
I had to prioritize Guitar Hero over Gra, though, just because I think Freestyle is going to break the game again. So I'm just going to get those done ASAP. As you mentioned, we played some BioShock 2 Korea this morning, got the 6-player stuff done, did some level grinding. I'm about 3 matches off of finishing that game, so that one's real close. And I also started the massive Killer Instinct for the Xbox One. 274 achievements. That dropped me almost 3% on completion. But,
oh my goodness.
But that is a fun game. They added a combo assist, so it makes new people like me not have to manually input all of the parts of the combo. So I really like that because it doesn't seem, from kind of what I've heard from people that are really into the game and things like that, that it doesn't break the game for the high skill players, but it allows new people to come in and not just be completely destroyed and intimidated. And I really found that, and it makes it very approachable while still having a ton of depth. Like there's still, like every day I play, I learn something new. But that's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying that one. I haven't boosted any of it yet. I mean, I'm sure I will with the 36 or 38,000 ranked matches you have to play. But right now I'm enjoying it, and it's a lot of fun. So I've really enjoyed that one. But it's a long haul. That one's going to take some time.
You like your long hauls, though.
Yeah, no, it's no Gra. It's no Gra. So yeah, that's it for me this week. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, well, so this week I was running out of time to get my January goals completed. So I had mentioned that I had a play date with for Disney Infinity 2.0, and we sat down to do it, and dumb me didn't realize we were working on the Xbox One version and not the 360 version. So I had the One version hidden because it was supposed to be like a surprise for my kids. That was under the guise because I really just needed it so I could stack it. But I said, oh, no, it's got Merida and Stitch in it, so, it's for the kids. Anyway, unfortunately, I had to go all the way upstairs. Yeah, I had to go upstairs, find the hiding spot, unwrap it, and then start the install. And so our poor boosting session fell apart. And even when I did get into it, like, the connection was hideous. And I assume it was working fine on their end, but it was a total disaster from my side. So I was like, okay, well, that sucked. Thankfully, we were able to get the all-for-one achievements where, you just sign up. You can easily, do it with one other person and then just hit guest on a second controller. So if you both sign in with a guest on a second controller, pop, all-for-one right there. So you just need one other person. But the doozy is survival of the fittest. And so I decided I'm going to give this a shot solo. So I got Star-Lord at level 20 and soloed it. It took me 2 hours and 20 minutes. There were a couple times where it got a little dicey because I got knocked off the cliff a few times, but he had a pretty good recovery. So it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I mean, 2 hours and 20 minutes is a decent chunk of time to commit. Certainly for me. I mean, that's quite the evening for me. But I never was really in jeopardy of dying with him, and even if he died, I would just put a new dude on there. So it worked pretty well. I think the key, if you're running it solo, is try and get a sidekick with as high of an attack value as you can. Don't bother with the defense. Obviously, the search, that's garbage. Try and max out his attack. My attack guy was at 19, which is pretty significant. I had done all the escape from kill missions, and so like he could almost one shot bad guys because there's some pretty significant bad guys in there once you start getting at higher levels. The other thing to keep an eye out is those dark levels where you can't see anything on the board. Really, just take your time. You don't want to fall off the cliffs on those. So I got Disney Infinity 2.0 completed, which is the first leg of my January goal. The second leg of my January goal, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, I did, in fact, get the Lord of the Ring and Beyond Epic achievements for the completion. So I'm super happy about that completion. The Lord of the Ring, right? You get your 60 minutes. It took me 54 minutes. I was very close. Now that being said, I was ready to give up on this like 10 minutes in because I was just floundering all over the place. I was like, this is going to be a terrible run. I won't even get close. It turns out I ended up doing it. Now, some tips if you're going for this. You have the one ring meter where if you click the two thumbsticks in, it'll activate essentially slow-mo. When you go attacking war chiefs, because you're going after war chiefs first, try and get this maxed out. Don't go out of your way to level it up, but try and get this maxed out, because taking out those war chiefs fast is super helpful if you can eliminate all of them. And also keep your eye out for any captains that have Combat Master. Combat Master prevents you from being able to do any of your finishing moves, or if you stun them and do a flurry attack, they'll break your flurry and break your combo. So with those guys, it's just like, well, guess what? You can't stop when you can't see me. So you hit the one ring and you just butcher them as fast as you can. And that's super easy to get those guys out of the way and not deal with them. The other thing is a tip. Once you get toward the end, you start running out of where guys are because you haven't researched them at all. And if they happen to be black silhouettes, so like you don't even know where they are, go and grab a random Uruk just chilling about. You can dominate that guy and at least find a generic location for these other chieftains, because then when you fast travel near that and you use your Wraith Vision, it's kind of like Eagle Eye in Assassin's Creed, it looks so much further and you can identify where those bad guys are. If you're just trying to find them like by going into strongholds and stuff, you have to get really close to them before they show up. But if you have an idea where they're at because you beat it out of some Uruk grunt, that'll help you out and you'll be able to see them a lot faster. The final thing to mention, and this is just a public service announcement, if it wasn't clear, the game ends when you get your final kill. So if you kill the last captain or the last war chief to fulfill the end conditions, the game is over. So make sure you have all of your branding done before you go and kill that last guy. With me, I branded the second to last guy and then charged up my 1 meter. And so he happened to be in a duel with one of my other branded chieftains. And so I was able just to show up, immediately hit the one ring, and just butcher him in like 3 hacks. It was fantastic. So between those two games, I got both those completed and my January goals done. So that's awesome. I also introduced my scavenger hunt that I've been doing over at the Achievement Hounds forums. I put it on my TA blog, and this week it was high and low. So you need an achievement with the word high and an achievement with the word low. The high was an easy one I did in Tiger Woods. That was just playing 18 rounds with a bunch of girls. But the low one I did, this was in Halo Reach, and the achievement's called Banshees High and Low. And it's simply hijacking a Banshee. And I remember trying to do this a bunch in the game, and I was like, I just couldn't get those grunts off the Banshees, and I was getting super frustrated. Well, I took a look at the solutions on TA, and Gesticulator it's a brilliant spot-on solution. At the beginning, at Checkpoint Bravo in the mission Exodus, you are on a helipad, and these vertibirds, no, they're not vertibirds, that's Fallout. What the hell are they called? Anyway, these helicopters come down, and you're hanging out with a bunch of Marines. And once they land, you can start shooting your own Marines, like friendly fire them, and then jump on their helicopter. And that counts. Because I think the suggestion is that the unlock requires you to get into essentially an enemy vehicle, an enemy flying vehicle.
That's awesome.
And so because they turn hostile against you, you just get into their helicopter like immediately. It's right at the checkpoint. You can get it within a minute. It's fantastic. So special thanks to Gesticulator for putting that together. Because it was perfect. So the final thing, the other things I've been playing is, and unfortunately there's no achievements with this, but there is this one, Roblox. So I started Roblox. It just came out this last week, and you saw the achievement list posted, and you're like, this is fantastic. This is easy pickings. There's no way this should be a difficult completion.
Lol.
Yeah, we'll get to why it is in Knobs and Discos.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one.
It is quite easy. You can get 5 achievements very quick within it took me 20 minutes to get 5 achievements for like 400 points. There's one you can idle essentially for an hour to get the next, and then there's just log in consecutive days, and so that is relatively simple for those. I'm doing it now. I've got my 3 down. So here's the thing. In 20 days from now, when I should be unlocking my 20 consecutive logins, if that's not a game completion by then, I am going to be really upset. And like I said, we'll get to that later. So finally, apart from just logging into things, I played a couple of betas. So I got a Division key and I got a Homefront Revolution key, and so I'll quick mention Homefront Revolution. I played it, played a couple matches briefly. Very enjoyable. I liked it. Of course, it's a beta. There's lots of work to be had. From an achievement standpoint, obviously we don't know the list. I don't know what it's going to be, but if the list comes out and there are difficulty level achievements, like, beat it on hardcore, beat it on insane, or whatever they're going to call a hard mode, that is going to be tricky, because I played this on easy and I got the crap kicked out of me. It's once you start getting into firefights with these I think they're the North Korean army. Once you start getting into firefights, they start bringing in vehicles and heavy artillery, and they will just work you if you're not paying attention. So I can only imagine if it's on a medium or hard difficulty, that's going to be real tricky moving forward. But I'm actually really excited about this. I was on the fence about the game, played the beta, and I'm giving it a thumbs up so far. Very limited, so I'll hold the review till I see more. But I'm going to play it again next Friday. Then we move to the Division. Okay. This game is very much on my radar, and I was really excited and also very nervous. And the beta has done nothing to assuage either one of those. Okay,
yeah, I'm worried about the multiplayer in the Division. It just sounds like it will be horrendous.
Yes, so let's quickly let's talk about that. So you start off in the beta, and they take out the front end of the story, and so you start playing the storyline, the missions. It's fantastic. So this third person gunplay that you have here, cover based shooter, is wonderful. The cover mechanics are fantastic. They have that like Gears of War snap in. Like if you get near something, you hit A, and you just like suck right into the cover. It's awesome. And then what I love too is if so those of you who have played XCOM, Enemy Within, or Massive Chalice with the turn-based movement where you move your cursor out ahead and it shows you the line where your guy's going to go, and if there's cover there, it'll show you where you're defended and stuff like that. This game does the same thing. You can look ahead, and wherever your reticule is, it'll show you, like, yep, you can move to that cover. You hold the A button, and your guy goes and executes that move. He's like a low crouching run, slams up against the cover, and you're in cover. So the cover movement is really great. The shooting is solid. I very much enjoyed that. So then I said, okay, well, I finished the story that they sampled me. Let's go check out this Dark Zone multiplayer. So you go into essentially a giant walled-off section of the city where people just run around like crazy. And that's exactly what I saw. People running around, pure insanity. Nobody really knew what was going on because it was, first day of the beta. And so everyone was just kind of checking things out. Okay? I was exploring, enjoying myself, and going solo. And then all of a sudden, I see what I'm calling a pack of wolves. This group of 5 individuals with giant red skulls above their head because they have gone rogue. They are running around as a pack, murdering every single person they find. And that is not what I'm looking forward to. So I was chilling out in a building, and I saw these guys just murder these dudes in the street. I'm like, this is obnoxious. But you know what? It's a beta. Look, I'm just going to... Let's see if I can engage them. So I'm up in this building and start shooting down at them. I kill 2 of the guys, and then they start suppressing fire me. And so I go back to look out there. They just up and revive their other 2 dudes. So even though I knocked a couple of them out, like, they had friends there just to revive them. So you can't ever really take out a threat. Like, even if you work as a team, you can't really eliminate these guys because they can just bring them back. If they're a well-working pack, they'll just bring themselves right back. And so that was kind of obnoxious. And then I was like, I'm kind of done with this. I'm going to go check out the extraction. I totally forgot how to do an extraction. So I stood under there, like, pushing every button. I'm throwing grenades. I'm using health packs. I'm like, where the hell's this helicopter? So I hung back, and I ended up getting butchered again. And so I was like, all right, that's enough of this.
Yeah, I guess just to qualify on that one, the way that loot works and the fact that players can essentially go rogue like that really disturbs me about that game. You don't get your loot until you successfully extract. Other players can kill you before you extract and steal that loot. So it seems to me that the entire way that game is going to work is it will be more beneficial to just wait at extraction points with a group of people and kill people who are trying to extract and just steal all their loot. That seems like that will be how the game goes. And
here, let me continue then.
Yeah.
So I played again last night, okay? And I said, you know what? I'm going to give Dark Zone another shot. Let's just see if I was playing it wrong. Okay. So what ended up happening now is I was running around and I started to follow people. And we found some NPCs. There's some like purple shaded guys. Those are just AI running around. And so we started killing those guys and collectively like working as a team, like a raiding group, although we're all individuals. And I was like, okay, great. This is a lot of fun. And then some jackwagon thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to go take that guy's loot. And so he started shooting at one of the other guys. The second he went rogue, that red skull popped up. All 6 of the people I was running around with turned and just gunned him down. Like they, as a vigilante group, said, not today, friend. This isn't going to happen. We are going to actively hunt you as a rogue agent because we're going to go enjoy this at a different level. So if you go solo, like and happen to go rogue, you are probably going to be murdered because there's random other people out there who are like, you know what, I don't want you to be a griefer and to be a pain. And so what ended up happening then is after we got our loot, someone would call in the extraction helicopter, and we'd all take up defensive positions around. And then once the helicopter came, we kind of took turns putting our canisters onto the rope so that we can kind of keep an eye out for any of these griefers coming by. The bad thing is you got a minute and a half for that helicopter to show up, and then when it gets there and drops the rope, it actually takes another like 10 seconds for you to affix your canister to the rope. So like you're standing there twiddling with this rope for 10 seconds, completely prone to anybody gunning you down. And so, yes, that part of it could get pretty dicey. But once the extraction helicopter comes and takes your loot away, you're actually still there. I thought it took you out of it. It just takes your loot. So you're standing there too. So if you're engaged in a firefight and get your loot up in the sky, you still have to fight off whoever's bothering you. So that's kind of annoying.
Well, but you would still get to keep your loot if you died, though, right?
You would get to keep your loot, yes. If it gets up in the helicopter, your loot is extracted.
Yeah, see,
and you'd absolutely get to keep that.
I really, really like the concept of the Dark Zone in theory. Now, like your experience, how it's going to play out for real is another question, but it reminds me a lot of RuneScape's wild PvP. You know, where you go out for the high risk, the high reward, you get killed, there's packs of people, there's individuals, there's all kinds of things. And it's just that high risk, high reward. And I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, if it's dominated by packs, if it's dominated by individuals, if it's a little bit of both. I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, people are saying it's the Destiny killer, but I think I'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I won't be getting it right away, but it definitely has interested me. The whole concept of the game seems very interesting if it's done right.
And look, I know it's a beta. But I don't think they're going to end up changing this anytime soon. But I think the reviving your downed guys, if you're hostile, like I guess I don't know how you would balance it out. But I don't like the idea of, you know, if you've got this rogue pack, that you can revive your rogue buddy.
Maybe
if you're going against AI or whatever,
maybe there needs to be a delay on when you can be revived.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
if you're down, you have a 30-second timer before you can be revived, and that might mean the rest of your buddies have to then survive a firefight for the next amount of time before they can.
Or
maybe like Left 4 Dead, where you have a timed health pack, or if you get hit, it goes the meter goes down. You know, where you have to not be hit for a certain length of time to revive this person, like while you're in the action of reviving them.
Now, the one thing I think you do consume a health pack if you do revive a buddy. And so, you know, if you just down enough guys, they run out of health packs. They're not terribly easy to find in the world. And so I guess that could be a limiting factor. I mean, look, I didn't think me going 1 against 5 was going to work in my favor, but, you know, even being able to take down a couple of them, I thought maybe they'd stay down.
Yeah, it does seem excessively unfair in that regard.
Yeah. After that little Dark Zone excursion, I went back to do clean up some side missions and stuff and the single player stuff. I love the single player stuff. Man, that's so good. So if the achievement list comes out and it's single player heavy, I will absolutely buy this quickly and then just dabble in the Dark Zone. I think if there's a lot of Dark Zone related achievements or multiplayer achievements, I will probably give this thing a pass until it's like dirt cheap. But the fact that the single player gameplay is so fun, I absolutely am on board for that part of it. So
yeah, another thing that kind of reminds me of is Kane and Lynch as the multiplayer in that game. Is most people just think of it now as the impossible leaderboard game, but I did used to play it for real back when it was new, and that was for those of you who don't know, it's called Fragile Alliance, and it's just that. It's you are a team of 4 to 8 that go into a heist together on a team versus AI, but your objective is to get out of the heist with as much money as you can, and by doing that, you can choose to kill your teammates at any time. So you can just turn around, shoot your buddy. You can kill all of them right off the start if you want, and do the whole heist yourself. But what happens is you're then flagged as a traitor, and they all respawn as police, and they can come in as they look like the AI that you're competing against. So it made for some very, very interesting mechanics in that, you know, you choose when to betray your teammates. If you choose to betray your teammates, I played a few times as a group. You know, this was a solo game mode, but we would come in together in private chat and strategically plan, you know, do we kill these people off? Do we let them run in and die themselves and things like that? It was probably some of the most fun multiplayer I've ever experienced. And it's a shame that it's not really played for real anymore. And there's not really anything like it. But It was
Payday. It did sound a little bit like Payday 2, just without the betrayals, though.
Yeah,
The way you're describing
definitely in the core gameplay, a lot like Payday 2, but it's the betrayals that really make it what it is. In that it's not a true co-op. It's a very competitive mode, but it looks and plays at its core like co-op, but really is fully competitive. But yeah, that's a really, really, really fun game mode, and I wish. I mean, it could be a whole game in itself, really, if people would play it. That's the biggest thing is getting an actual core group of players that are going to play it. Because if you play with the same people all the time, you start to figure out each other's strategies. But when you have a good player base, it's mixed up.
No, it varies it up, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, getting people to play that when there's that impossible leaderboard achievement these days is probably
right. And I mean, people haven't played it for years. I mean, I think there's still a few people that play it, but they're like obviously amazingly, amazingly good, and they'll just shoot. I have heard there is one guy that plays it that he won't engage you. He'll play along with you unless you fire a shot, and you will never kill him. You will never kill him. You're just dead. You fire a shot near him, you're dead. But if you want to play nice, he'll play nice with you, apparently. So
that's funny.
That's kind of interesting.
Nice. All right. Well, that was a great recap on our games played. Let's talk about what news happened this week. First, let's talk about our news. Z2Z podcast has news.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Yeah. I actually got Z2Z on Stitcher. Stitcher's basically another sort of podcasting network, and we've also been approved by Google Play. So thanks, Brandon, for setting that up for us. Randy, you've got some news on YouTube, I think.
Yeah. So this week I brought Z2Z to YouTube. So this episode will be on YouTube in addition to the first episode. I will be
should be on YouTube. Should be.
Yeah, should be. Yeah, right. Things happen. Should be on YouTube. So yeah, and then I do plan on catching up on the previous episodes. So I hope that I can get some new engagement. And for those of you that prefer to listen/watch, mostly listen on YouTube, we will be on there. Each episode will be split into segments, but will be combined in a playlist. So if you want to listen to the whole episode, you can choose the playlist and let it run. There will also be a playlist if you want to do some catch up that has every episode, oldest to newest. So you can just turn that on and listen to us talk for as long as you like. You can just loop it all day.
That's awesome.
So I would really like though, that's the way I have it set up now, but I would really like to know what you guys think. How do you guys want to have YouTube? I'm very open to suggestions. So, please let us know on either YouTube itself, social media. You can find me on Twitter at Randy2727, of course, at Z2Z, any of us, send me a PM on TA. Let us know what you think of YouTube and what we can do to improve it. Or if you like it how it is, tell us. So that's been my project for the last little bit.
Awesome.
And of course, none of the existing things are changing. So you still
no, of course not.
Through iTunes and all that other fun stuff. So and on our website. So just more ways to get the show. I hope you're still enjoying the show. We got some new game announcements, or at least some things that popped up here I wanted to touch on. The makers of Burnout, Criterion Group, introduced Dangerous Golf, which is essentially Burnout with golf.
That just seems really bizarre. I mean,
it looks awesome.
I love Burnout. Which one? Burnout Paradise. I played that one to death. I think it was one of my very early legitimate 1Ks, or even DLC as well. But yeah, golf, huh?
Yeah. Apparently, there's like 100 holes in 4. They're saying 4 unexpected locations, and of course, like the pictures are like. So there's like a power up where you can get your ball to turn into like a fireball, and like it's just thrashing this bathroom. Like somebody, got their 9-iron and chipped it into a toilet and just blew the thing up, or, got a 3-wood out and just torched through a hotel, or I don't even know what the locations
Sounds very
but-
interesting.
Oh my God, it looks great.
So it's sort of like the Burnout wrecking mode kind of games.
Pretty much.
Because I never got a chance to play Burnout. That's one that never got cheap enough, and well, because I planned on buying like 3 to 6 copies of it, so it never got cheap enough for me. But I'm still watching for it. It's one I want to play one of these days. Burnout Paradise.
Yeah.
Seems like I've heard nothing but good things on that one.
Burnout Paradise was a lot of fun. I loved that game.
Right. And I mean, they even talk like this isn't for like a score. I mean, you're not trying to birdie a hole. This is do as much damage as you can with your trick shots and your destructive shots. So I think this looks awesome. I can't wait. And it's got a multiplayer too, so you can play with some buddies. But anyway, so that was announced. We also got an announcement from Insomniac. Came out with their new game called Song of the Deep, which is a Metroidvania-style game. It's a little girl in a submarine. Looks beautiful. I love these types of games. I love Metroidvania-type games. So
did you hear anything?
I
saw a little sort of interview with the developer, or one of the developers behind that, and how they actually wanted to create a game with a female protagonist and not have it actually be about how that woman looks or how the girl looks. I sort of thought that was interesting because you see a lot of games, particularly with female protagonists, and generally the first thing you kind of notice about them is
they're bursting talents.
Yes. To put it politely,
right.
And that seems to be the sort of like and that sort of enforces the whole view of this is the important thing about women, and then go play the game. Whereas I think that was it was interesting to see the developer kind of talk about that, and that they wanted to actually really get away from that kind of paradigm, I guess, with their protagonist, and and that sort of seeded this game. It's,
I think that's a good direction. Well, there was a game like the opposite of that hit this week. What was it? Amazing Princess something. What was that?
Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you look at the cover of that one, it's just like, was that really necessary?
Yeah, that one seems a little ridiculous.
Bursting with talent.
Very much so, and
Yes,
I think a lot of it's tongue in cheek. I don't know if you've seen any of the achievement list on that one.
It is a little goofy.
Yeah, I think it's sort of done humorously, but it's humor, but it's at the expense of the fact that every other game also does exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
And it's just
anyway.
It
seems like it's not ridiculous enough to be obviously humor, because I didn't get that. I read the list briefly and kind of saw it. It's kind of that thing. It's like, yes, if you're really committing to humor, that's fine. But you have to be really ridiculous in every way to make it very obvious that you're humor. But with that one, it just looks like it's the same thing that you're used to seeing all the time. And
possibly just taken a little bit of a step further than normal, but not enough to be kind of over the line funny, you know?
Exactly.
So, and I guess that really bothers me about a lot of games, but that's another topic for another show, I think.
Yep.
What was next?
Absolutely. So with those two game announcements, we had another announcement that came out of PAX South today, and this is right up your alley now, Crandy. Arbiter is joining Killer Instinct Season 3. So
that's
your
pretty cool.
favorite power sword wielding Arbiter is showing up. I don't know if he'll get the power sword in the game or if he'll use the Dangler, maybe.
I'm thinking he might have both, actually.
Yeah.
I'm guessing power sword because, Shadow Jago, they've got swords. So
yeah, you'll almost definitely have the sword. That's kind of the archetypical kind of Arbiter weapon. But I don't know.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I was kind of wondering who was going to be in Season 3 because, I don't have a huge extensive knowledge of Killer Instinct, but from what I've seen, it looks like they're kind of almost out of characters. I know Gargos still hasn't made an appearance, and I think there's a couple others, but for the most part, they've kind of included all the history of Killer Instinct. So I know they were talking about including one of the Battletoads as well. I think he was in a stream a while ago, actually, with some gameplay.
Yeah. He was announced at Gamescom, wasn't he? Or
yeah, that would be about
where
right.
is he?
Maybe not Gamescom. Maybe
E3.
Yeah, E3. But yeah, so that's what I was kind of interested. If they got, if it's just Gargos and maybe a couple others, they've still got 6. Assuming they're sticking to 9 characters a season, they've still got another 6 slots to fill. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out.
Are we going to start seeing like Smash Brother type characters come in here, where you've got just weird, like random characters they start pulling in from other like
maybe they'll throw in
Marcus
Banjo and
Phoenix?
Kazooie or something.
Yeah,
A Banjo and Kazooie could work. That'd be kind of cool, actually.
yeah, the woodwork that is rare, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Rare doesn't develop it anymore, but I mean, it was originally a Rare license. I'm sure they're involved with it in some way, but
Yeah.
I
They have
forget.
Battletoads in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it can be any fighting game unless they've got Gandhi.
God, yeah, there you go. Does his arms and legs stretch like Dalsy?
Yeah.
If you'd like that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to
See
see. I'm
that.
looking forward to it. I still haven't played with all my season 1 and 2 characters yet, but I assume by the time season 3 rolls around, I probably will have and be ready for some more. So I might actually pay full price for that. You know, I got season 1 free.
My goodness.
I got season 2 for $20. Paid full price for Shadow Jago because I didn't want to miss him, but that one was only 10. So $30 for all Killer Instinct plus 1 and 2 Classic is pretty good. You know,
That's not too bad.
I'm pretty okay with that.
There you go. All right, and then I mentioned it briefly at the top of the show. It was just a joke. Peter Molyneux got his Twitter account hacked, and he claimed he was retiring. And I think the funny part is his response tweet was saying, "Yeah, you could tell it was hacked because they didn't misspell any words, and like he used the word cuz like CUZ, and like I mean, you know, it was typed out like it was actually like a resignation letter." And you kind of thought, it's like, okay, yeah, he's a professional business guy. And then you hear him on Twitter, and he's like, yeah, I don't talk like that. That's not the case. So anyway, Peter Molyneux not, in fact, retiring. Hopefully he can get Fable Legends up and running. Is he still part of that? Or he's gone from Lionsgate, isn't he? He's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Goddess, that's what he's working on. Finally, in the news, and this will lead into our featured content, I got a disheartening email on Monday, and it was a personal email from Kenji Inafune-san. He sent it to me personally as backer number 1,000 or 10,173 or something, whatever. And he was very, very sorry that Mighty Number 9 is delayed yet again.
What?
Yeah, I know you can't believe it because it was supposed to come out last April, I think.
Yeah, I think it's almost been a year now. But it's
September, and then in September it was delayed until December, and then it was delayed. No, it was delayed until this upcoming, like February here.
Yeah,
is when it was supposed to come, and now it's delayed again.
Do you remember when it's delayed until?
You know, I probably should have planned ahead and looked at my email.
So 6 to 8 weeks.
Who knows? They said, I mean,
it was pretty
the email essentially was like
3 to 5 years.
It was long, and it was a lot of it was like, look, you know, we're sorry, but we had some really challenging issues with the network stuff. There's just a ton of network issues, and I don't know. I'm assuming that's like leaderboard stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's not like a heavy multiplayer focused game, so I don't know. How much of those issues they're running into.
Maybe it's the achievements. They just need to make sure they work.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't as long as they unlock. If they unlock straight up, I don't care.
The achievements are the number one focus of developers, I'm sure.
So it was supposed to come out on February 9th, and that's not happening. He said, rooted in bugs inside network modes, matchmaking issues, he claims that one of the issues is because they're trying to port it to so many different platforms, and that trying to fix so many different platforms, you end up mucking them all up, right?
I can kind of relate to that. When we've got our own app. I work for a software development company, and we've got an app that we've got on iOS and Android, and it's just the platforms are different enough that you just encounter completely individual problems on them, even though the code base is for the most part relies on the same kind of work. So yeah, if you're developing for something that goes on to 6 or 7 platforms, you multiply the bugs by each. So yeah, I can relate to that.
Right. So the only thing they say in the email is they expect it to be spring of 2016. And then he
not
just
too
goes
far
on.
off.
Not terribly far. He even says, although we are far past our original release date, the release of Mighty Number 9 is still right around the corner, and we're working hard to make sure that we can finish and release the game to all our fans as quickly as possible. So, with that being said, this leads into our featured content for today, the Talking Zeds, where we talk about Kickstarter. This, like I said, I got a personal email because I am a Kickstarter backer of Mighty Number 9. And so we want to get into just Kickstarters as a whole. How do we feel about them, and what, is it a model that we want to continue to pursue? So, that being said, let's move into Talking Zeds. Okay, so let's set the stage. For those of you who don't know, which I would be shocked if this isn't the case, but Kickstarter is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, crowdfunding resources, place for people to go to give money to creative persons, right? And these projects range from everything. Video games, board games, food, videos, movie, photography, art. I mean, there's you can set up a project and ask for money from anybody to pursue your artistic endeavor or your project. And so you've got, I think it's a month. You put your campaign together and say, this is how much money I would need to get this project going. And you set goals based on how much you want to commit, and that would get your project up and going. And to entice people to give you money, you set baseline rewards and say, okay, if you provide this much money toward my campaign, I will do this in return. And actually, Crandy, you've looked into this quite a bit. You have anything to add to kind of what Kickstarter is? I mean, we might as well set the stage here.
I mean, I haven't looked into it extensively yet, but I do plan on kickstarting my video game. We do plan on applying to ID at Xbox at some point, so that's going to be one of our goals. We do have a list of rewards that maybe I'll get into if we have time. But no, that's basically what it is. You have people put anything on there. It can be really stupid, which it is a lot of the time. It can be really good. And it's something that I'm kind of mixed on, is, I love seeing people go out and with good entrepreneurial ideas and be able to do that and remain independent without having to, give up half their company or something, or maybe not be able to do it at all. But at the same time, there's a lot of abuse of it, where you have everyone going on Kickstarter thinking they can do a Kickstarter for me drawing pictures with crayons, like basically what I'm doing.
I'd pay for that.
Well, we'll see if people pay for that. I don't know. I guess that's
so,
a little bit of a spoiler on the game there. Hand-drawn graphics.
Yeah. Have you backed any projects? Have you put anything toward a Kickstarter?
I have not. It's mostly my kind of opposition to pre-ordering things.
Sure,
if it was something that I really, really believed in and really wanted to see, I might. But I've yet to see something like that. I don't really look at it much, to be honest, but I have not backed anything. What about you guys? Have you guys done any backing?
I've backed a number of projects, actually. Just looking at the games that I've backed, and I kind of stopped backing games after a while. I'll get into that in a sec. But I kind of started off with a game called Star Command years ago. It was a kind of little iOS-based kind of spaceship sort of simulation kind of game. And then there was a really the two sort of famous ones that earned heaps and heaps and heaps of money on Kickstarter. Double Fine Adventures. I think they broke a record, or they set a record for the most funded kind of game. And then Wasteland 2, which I think also kind of either broke that record or was highly funded. Then I did a few other ones after that. Banner Saga, Shadowrun Returns, a little sort of indie one called Anonymous Agony, and Republic, which is another iOS game. The problem I found so this was like a couple of years ago. I was sort of looking at all of these. I think the problem I found is once they came out, I realized that I was just getting so much into achievements that I just didn't have time to play all these games. So there's these games that I've kind of bought and that, some are better than others. And, Wasteland 2 is now on Xbox One and so forth. And that's great. But, I sort of stopped because I realized that there wasn't much point funding these things, even if I know they're going to be a good game. There's no point me investing in them if I just know that I'm not going to be actually playing them, because I'm just gotten so heavily into achievements. So that's that. And
that makes sense. I mean, because that's kind of what I've done. Is I've only backed 4 projects because they have explicitly said we are coming out with Xbox releases. And that is like, okay, then I can enjoy your game with achievements. And so I backed Road Redemption, which was that road rash motorcycle combat game that has yet to come out. Mighty Number 9, which I got my email for. There's a game called Deadwood: The Forgotten Curse, which is
that anything
a zombie
to do?
game.
Oh, okay, it's nothing to do with the Deadwood TV series.
No, it's actually they're posing it as Zelda Ocarina of Time meets a Night of the Living Dead. And so your character, this land of it's called Notwood, Notwood. And you're made out of wood. You're like a little marionette. And these zombies, these petrified wood, this dead wood comes to life. So the kicker is you've got this giant boulder dude who like walks around and helps you out during the day, and he like just start crushing. But at night he falls asleep, and so you have to build up like defenses around your boulder dude so that when the zombies come out, and he's sleeping, like he doesn't get killed, and you don't get overrun too. Anyway, so that's what Deadwood is, and then Battle Chasers Night War, which is a relatively recent one. Which is going to be a dungeon crawler loot game, which they said, yes, Xbox. And I was borderline on Bloodstained. I didn't pull the trigger on that one, but the exact reason that you just said, Terrigan, why I don't look at other projects, because it's like, oh yeah, boy, that would be a really cool game. I will never play it if it doesn't have achievements.
Yeah. So I guess most of my recent Kickstarter activity has actually been more about sort of there's a few little sort of indie movies that I've been interested in, and some more sort of hardware-y kind of things. There's actually a comic. I kickstarted a comic, or helped kickstart a comic. So it's called The First Law of Mad Science. And yeah, basically they were looking for funding to get their sort of second season, I suppose, of their comics going. So I helped with that because I really enjoyed the first round of it. And the most recent thing that I've backed, and the most expensive thing as well, is a thing called Screens. That's SKREEN. It's basically you plug all of your HDMI devices into it, like so all of your game consoles or whatever. The one I pledged for actually takes 4. You can then position them any which way you like on a screen and stream that. So that just looked super cool, and basically with the amount of Xboxes that I've got,
sounds like I might need to get one of those.
Yeah, you probably want one of those. But it had the full sort of streaming built into it as well, and it actually will take apps and things like that. They're going to like release sort of apps, and it hasn't even built browser and all sorts of super snazzy stuff. So that was pretty cool. But that's kind of the last thing I've looked at for a while.
See, I could see that. So I mean, ultimately, like, and I haven't supported anything that wasn't a video game. Like, I've seen some board games that have been interesting. And I've seen, I've even looked in other areas, but like I could understand, investing in a movie or something you think you might enjoy watching. But what is it that does entice you to do this? I mean, it's essentially you're paying a long pre-order on something. Like, technically it wouldn't exist without your help in theory. But I mean, what's the motivating factor for opening your, typing in your credit card number?
I think the biggest thing for me is not what entices me, it's what doesn't. I have a question for you. Did any of the Brandon, did any of the things that you kickstarted actually come out yet?
Nope.
And how long ago?
I got a lot of emails.
And how
though.
long ago was the first one that you kickstarted, or that
I
you
think it was
contributed to?
It was over a year ago.
Yeah, so
I believe.
that's. I mean, yes, development takes a long time, but I feel like a lot of the time. I mean, this isn't always the case. Like there was one project in particular that I was very, very interested in backing, but opted not to because they got so much money so quickly. Was Yooka-Laylee, which is the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, made by the original Banjo-Kazooie team. And it seems like a lot of these projects are by people that don't really know. I mean, I don't know this for sure. I don't look that closely, but it seems like with all the delays and the things that don't ever happen, it seems like a lot of these projects are taken on by people that don't really know how much it's actually going to cost, or the pitfalls that you're going to run into, or you set an intentionally low target in order to be funded kind of, and then hope you can make it, or take longer, or get delayed, or get more money. And I think all of those things, as much as, like I said before, I like to see people be able to be independent. It's so risky to me that you're going to actually get what you think you're paying for at some point in the future, that it really is not worth the risk. And that's why I don't like to back, and it's the same reason I don't like to pre-order, because with pre-ordering is a different issue, and I could really go off on that one for a long time. But like, I think it's just, the risk is not there unless you have a real dedicated team that has a very, or not dedicated, but dedicated and experienced team
established,
that really understands how much it's going to cost and all of the steps that it's going to take to get this game to the people that are paying you to make it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why things like Double Fine Adventure and Wasteland 2 in particular were so successful, is the fact that they already had teams behind them who knew how to deliver. So Double Fine Adventure was obviously Double Fine. They've got a slew of games and some really big talents that have done many games before. So they were always going to deliver, and they did. And so certainly of the 7 games that I've backed on Kickstarter, I think only one of them I haven't actually got yet. So I think I've maybe been more successful than most.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
well, another interesting thing too is I read, I could be wrong in this. It was a while ago when I read it, but I was reading, I think it was an interview with Lorne Lanning, who is one of the head people at Oddworld, who make one of my favorite games. And he was saying that...
Is that Graw?
No, that's not that. That's Oddworld New and Tasty and the Oddworld bunch from the past. But he was saying they didn't want to do Kickstarter because he felt that they would be obligated to have lower than realistic goals in order just to get the funding. So they would have had to create an inferior product. They may have done it faster, but they would not have had the quality that they would have now by self-funding.
Well, I think that's slightly the wrong approach. I think a lot of the ones who are doing Kickstarters actually have funding from elsewhere. It's just that they use Kickstarter to augment what they have, and that way.
See, I think that way is probably the most effective. Is when you don't depend on Kickstarter, but you use it to maybe do things that you couldn't have done otherwise with the funding.
And perhaps Kickstarter would be the push that would get it over the line. So you might not have enough funding to get the game going, but you've got a good chunk of it. You get a certain amount from Kickstarter, which brings up the shortfall, and then you get extra from Kickstarter. That means you can go for your stretch goals. I guess the problem there is particularly if you're sort of not a very experienced game developer or publisher, you may not know the full extent of the costs that are going to be involved, or the pitfalls or things that are going to go wrong. It's a very complicated financial sort of thing to say right at the beginning before you've even done any work on a game. Here's how much it's going to cost to do the entirety of the game when you haven't even fully designed or finished off the game yet.
Exactly.
But even if you look at like Double Fine, and they, had the movie of their development process for Broken Age, and they got all that money, and they started making it, and they're like, well, we ran out of money halfway through.
Exactly.
Like, when we started the game, it was this, but then when we started making the game, it was like, well, we can't just stop here. We really need to keep going. We need to put more money into it, but we asked everybody else for money. Can we ask again? And so that's why they broke it into two pieces, so they could get more funding to finish the other half of the game. And look, I'm sure if you ask, that's not what they want to do.
No, absolutely
not. But I think what you're getting now is, and actually, I don't really have a problem with this per se, is like the Shenmue 3 angle, where, yeah, you've had some discussions about what the game is, where the game's coming, or who's going to fund it, but you tie it to a Kickstarter just to see how excited people are. They're not making Shenmue 3 for $3 million or whatever the Kickstarter was. Like, that game is going to be way more than $3 million, but the rate at which they got to that $3 million or whatever the opening day amounts were, I totally forgot what they were. That was enough to entice Sony, which I think was already a done deal anyway, but entice them to say, okay, yeah, people are certainly excited about this. Let's make this a reality.
So it's less Kickstarter to get funds and more Kickstarter as a marketing exercise to publishers.
Exactly.
Which is it's an interesting
kickstart the venture capital.
And that's also possibly a Kickstarter to get it out in the community as well. It's just as much about marketing to people as it is to like consumers as it is to publishers. But yeah, anyway.
And that's the way I plan on using Kickstarter was, for real, this game we're making costs $100, and that $100 is to put it on Steam Greenlight. The actual development cost of the game, other than time, I mean, I guess it depends on how much you would charge yourself. Well, all the software is free that we're using. Okay. We have hand-drawn graphics, in-house recorded soundtrack. And it's the development cost of the game is, well, okay, it's not free. It was like $225, whatever I paid for the box of crayons. So that cost is already paid. But the thing for Kickstarter is, if we kickstart it, not only does it bring more people to the Greenlight page to say, hey, we want to see this game. If people even want to see the game, I don't know. It's a joke game, so we'll see. I mean, it's very serious, totally super serious.
Right. Your life depends on it.
And if we did get any kind of Kickstarter money, well, we could explore things like buying the add-on for Xbox One, buying the add-on for PlayStation 4, applying to these independent developer programs, and using the Kickstarter as evidence to say, hey, look, we got enough money through Kickstarter and enough interest that we say, hey, we want to try and publish this on Xbox. We want to try and publish this on PlayStation. We want to see where it goes. And I think you just mentioned, Brandon, that, you can take this to venture capitalists and say, look, I just raised, I want a budget of $100 million for this game, for example. And look, I just raised $3 million in a week on Kickstarter. That shows some serious interest in this game. Do you want to invest? We can talk. So it's like I think Kickstarter as a platform for marketing and measuring interest is very good, and definitely as a supplemental income. But then the other thing I want to get into too is you see this. I don't know firsthand or anything, but I've heard this a lot, and I've heard from people that have worked with startups that very often these companies have great ideas. They have really solid plans and ideas, but they're run by very smart people, but they're not run by like business people, and they make not very smart spending decisions. So maybe they have just enough money to do this project and just get by frugally, but they don't. They go extravagance, and then they burn out and burn through all their money very quickly. And I don't know if that's what's happening with Kickstarter, but if you have inexperienced teams, that might be an issue.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens sometimes. I've known other Kickstarters where they've gotten their funding, they met their funding goal. They've basically, if everything had gone to plan, they would have met it and it would be fine. But they've had problems or something has happened that they didn't expect. And the one I'm thinking of was it was a dice game that was funded, and they were making custom dice, and they went and got them all sort of manufactured in the way they expected them to, and the quality just wasn't there. They basically fell apart. And so they lost a lot of money on the kind of the first round or the 2 rounds of trying to get these dice working, and ended up having to go to doing a manual process instead. So instead of getting them manufactured, they're basically building them by hand. And so it just ended up taking a lot longer and burnt up all the money. And yeah, it was just, these things happen. That's the thing is with any kind of venture like that, you're going to come up against potentially things that are going to be catastrophic. And I guess that's what the risk you take backing a Kickstarter is, that quite possibly something will go catastrophically wrong and there will be no product.
But I don't know. I feel like I'm talking more like in the development of software and games more so than hardware, because hardware is kind of a whole nother set of, you've got the manufacturing people where kind of games and software, it's so easy to distribute digitally that's basically free. But, I think in the development, like an experienced team, I don't know this, but would take into account that they know something is going to go wrong. That something, especially when you're going to like 3, 4, 5 different platforms like Mighty Number 9 is doing, that you're going to run into some issues. And I feel like that should be in the budget, but maybe to get because I believe with Kickstarter, if you don't make your goal, you don't get anything.
No, that's right.
Where with, I think Indiegogo, you get everything. So, I don't know. Haven't compared side by side or anything, but, maybe people do undercut or underestimate goals or cut things out of the budget that aren't absolutely necessary just to, hit their target. And if they just hit that target,
I see a lot of that in the stretch goals.
They can't, they can't budget for catastrophe when really you should be budgeting for catastrophe, because it's probably more likely than not going to happen.
What I see is like, let's say we want $100,000 and that makes the game. Okay. And then if we hit 120, we'll get voice actors. And then if we hit 150, we'll get you some new character skins. It's like, wait, well, hold on. It's $20,000 to get voice actors, but it's $30,000 to get a new skin. Like, God, something doesn't add up.
Yeah, when it really sounds like the 150,000 is what they needed. Where, we might be able to get by on the 120, but we really need the 150.
So I think that's kind of unfortunate, some of those stretch goals. And like the other stretch goals that bother me are the ones where it's like, okay, if we hit, we want 1 million, but if we hit 1.3 million, then we'll go to Xbox. Or if we hit 1.5 million, we'll go to, all the platforms. And it's like, well, then I'm going to wait till you hit 1.3 million because I'm not going to invest until it's on Xbox. So sorry, but, hopefully you can get it because I'm holding back. And now I want to shift gears over to the rewards system. Typically, the way the rewards go is if you give them $1, they'll put your name in the credits or something. This is for video games. It's very common to see this type of list. You give them $1, they'll give you a thank you. You just give them, there'll be a minimum level at which you get a copy of the game, be it physical, digital, whatever. That's typically my entry point. So if it's like $20, I'm usually in for a game, because seeing how historically these things have gone, quite often they give you more game. It's like early access. They'll give you more game than you invested for. So for $20 to see this thing, I think Mighty Number 9 will be bigger than a $20 game.
Yeah, I think my pre-order of Mighty Number 9 was $30. I pre-ordered the disc.
Yeah.
That one I really kind of almost regret pre-ordering at this point. I had a coupon to use at Best Buy that was about to expire, and I've got the Gamers Club unlocked, so I got mine down to like $22 or something. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if that ever actually comes out. But
So you get that level, and that's okay. Great. You're essentially buying a copy of you're doing a very, very long pre-order, like an obscenely long pre-order. But then there's those other ones where it escalates pretty quickly, and you get to really kind of be a part of the community a little bit more, the development a little bit more, kind of, right? So I've seen a lot where it's, hey, we'll turn you into a bad guy in the game. You could be a boss character. You can come up with the name of a character. You can, we'll put you in a room as a vendor.
I've actually seen, that reminds me of something that was in Batman Arkham Asylum, actually. There was... It was a contest I think they ran, and they were basically whoever won this contest got their head into the game. Now I didn't know about this the first time I played through the game, and so I went and you're looking everywhere trying to find these like Riddler's secrets and things like that. And there was just this one section where you're looking through the bars of this prison thing in like in the psych ward, and there's this guy gibbering in there with this really weird face, and it's like, what is going on here? Like, is there something? What? And so I found out later that that was actually the guy's scanned face that had been put into the game. But yeah, it just reminded me because you get a lot of Kickstarters that have that kind of we'll put your face in the game kind of thing.
On that topic, for the Big Rigs Truckin' Kickstarter, we plan on this is some pre-release info here, but we plan on having the ability to have your likeness in the game. We're gonna make a truck based on the likeness of your name. So we'll ask you for your name, and then our artist will draw a truck based on its likeness. So it's like having your face in the game, except way better. It's having like the likeness of your name in this game. So we've got some good rewards planned. You can also have a Skype dinner with the developers. We'll have it delivered to your house. It's only $10,000. You can have a Skype.
That's a bargain. Where do I sign?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the other part that for those obscenely high levels of interaction, like you are paying for a one of a kind, remarkable experience in theory,
like a Skype meal with me. Okay,
like a Skype meal with
that's
Randy,
pretty cool. Only $10,000.
Awesome.
Even I haven't had that.
But often there will be like those giant tiers where it's, you come to the studio, you can hang out with us, you could do VO, I don't know, just weird stuff, like obscenely detailed, and typically you get everything before that as well, but like, I could see that as like if you just had crazy amounts of money to spend and you're just like, yeah, I'll help you build your video game. Can I, I don't know, do one of the characters? Hey, sure, why not? You paid a whole bunch of money, go nuts. And like, just be so flush with cash that you could just throw it around and insert yourself into any sort of project you want.
Yeah, I guess
fine,
the other side of that is that sometimes people who have that kind of cash and invest that kind of money into it then think that they kind of own too much of the process. So
I don't even think it goes as far as, people who put a lot of money in. I think people like I know people who put in the $20 backer, right? That you're just buying a copy of the game. There's a lot of those people who feel like, hey, no, I'm invested in this game. Like I gave you my money. And I expect results.
I gave you $20 whole of that million.
Right.
Okay. I should be a shareholder.
Yeah. It's like,
so
that's
I
the same
that's
sort of
a misnomer.
That's the same sort of argument. It's like, I paid $20 to see you in a movie, therefore I own your life forever,
yeah. Well,
Mr. Actor.
And then the same person will go down to GameStop, drop $60 on a game that comes out in 6 months and not say a thing. It's like,
right.
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
And that I think that's what's frustrating is I think some people take it a little too personally when they feel like they were personally slighted because like, oh yeah, I mean I'm disappointed Mighty Number 9 got delayed, but do I feel like they're just they're vindictively doing it to me, and why do they hate me so much? Like, no, they made a game, they made some mistakes, it's not working out. Like, I get it. I have a job. I understand what making mistakes is like.
That's a totally unreasonable way to look at it, Frame. I'm sorry. It's just
right?
It's too rational.
See,
but
the thing I think
what's kind of fun though
is funny with these like god tier investment tiers is you'll have all these things like, oh, you can come hang out with us at the studio. We'll pay for your dinner or something. We'll take you to a musical or something. But they'll never pay for your plane ticket. You donated $100,000 to our project. Yeah. We won't pay for your plane ticket.
I think if
you
anybody,
find a way to get here.
I think if somebody did donate $100,000 to a Kickstarter project, the plane ticket's probably thrown in.
Well, no, but there are Kickstarters that are like that. That are like $10,000-$20,000, and they won't pay for your plane ticket. They'll do all these extravagant things when you're there. But you got to get there. It's very confusing to me. It's like,
I think Bloodstained was like you can hang out with Iga and have dinner with him and like party with him, but like you'd have to fly out to Japan by yourself.
Shaq Fu had
one.
Get out
there.
I specifically remember Shaq Fu as being one of the more ridiculous ones that I saw. I think it was $50,000 to hang out with Shaq for an evening, but you have to get there. It's like $50,000 to Shaq Fu, and they won't fly you there. You should be flying on Shaq's private jet to get there for $50,000.
Now, some things that I do like, even at the low backer levels, is when it gets launched and you're invited to the forums, and if you have a particularly engaged community and an engaged community manager, right, whoever from the developer goes and engages the community to help. Like, I think those can be really fun, and in particular, the Deadwood game, that developer has continually asked. They've put up polls and they've been like, okay, hey, here's a new artwork for one of the bad guys. Internally we've been calling him Pincher, but we want to see what do you guys think? What should we do? And so everyone just starts putting names in and start like coming up with all these creative titles and stuff. And it's like, hey, this is really fun. Like maybe my name gets into the game just because it was creative. And so I think like that type of engagement is really cool. But, that's very dependent on the community, because if they don't care, then they're not going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I think the last thing that I want to touch on is the Kickstarter alternative, Fig. Are you guys familiar with Fig at all?
I have not, but I might put Big Rigs on there. I'm going to put Big Rigs everywhere.
So Fig...
Big Rigs on Fig.
Yeah, so Fig
Rigs.
is a little bit different in the sense that it's not Kickstarter from a sense of you just throw some money at it. This is actually investing into games. That you will become an investor. Even so, it's kind of like grouping all of your small investments together to be one larger investment unit.
Yeah, so when you say investments, you will be getting returns.
You'll be getting returns.
As you're
monetary
buying,
returns.
Are you buying equity in the company, or are you just buying some kind of return on that particular project?
That I don't know the full details of it, but there is financial return coming your way. So whether that's a rebate or that's yes, that's equity in the company, stock in the company per se. I don't know the specifics, but it is like you are more invested because it's, I'm assuming, more significant investment numbers.
Let's go. Let's open up the floodgates. Shovelware Empire, going to Fig.
Going to Fig. Get in on the ground floor. Well, fantastic.
I have to run that by the board. See what they think about that.
Is it a literal board? Like a surfboard?
It could be, but
or is it just a plank? Just a plank.
There are two of us. There are two of us on the board, so we'll see.
Nice, awesome. Well, okay. I think we beat this topic to death here, and I'm sure it'll come up again because Kickstarters are doing nothing but disappointing. At least from my standpoint, nothing's come out. Although, it's a great avenue. So if you see some projects out there that you think are cool, hey, give it a whirl. I mean, you're helping somebody else create their dream in theory, which I think is positive. So
yeah, I think the ones that I've been most sort of the ones I felt the best about was probably one which it was an indie comic that I backed. I knew the premise of the comic. The comic kind of stopped after a bunch of issues because they kind of ran out of money. I knew that they were kind of funded by Kickstarter in the first place. They started a new Kickstarter to get going again on the next arc. But the rewards you got were basically, if you funded at a certain level, you ended up with a hard copy of the first arc, an extra kind of volume of extra stories that they'd already done. And in my case, I got a t-shirt as well. So it's like, if you're already a fan of that particular series, that was actually a really good reward. Plus, you're helping create the next arc of the comic, and that was kind of, I thought that was a good investment, and they've already proved that they can deliver. So, ongoing comics, I think, are probably a really good one to fund if you're into comics like I am.
Well, and I've heard the movies. Some people they're making movies. If you happen to like how they presented their Kickstarter video, and you want more movies like that, like I hear those are pretty good too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just a video game junkie, so that's where I put my money.
Well,
I can't wait to invest into Shovelware Empire. I'm excited.
Only if they come to Xbox One.
Oh, we're trying.
Right, with achievements.
We're trying.
Stretch goals,
Got to
baby.
hit that stretch goal.
Speaking of stretch goals, let's talk about our monthly goals, our monthly challenges from last month. I already covered mine from January. Totally completed Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor and Disney Infinity 2.0 like I wanted. Super pumped about that. Tarragon, how'd you do on your goal?
Well, just to recap, my goals were basically unlock 10 achievements from the Great Random To-Do List Challenge from Facial Lafleur, and also complete at least 3 titles from your very own Completions Challenge. And I had an extra one which was given to me by McLovin Legend during the month, about mid-month after I've been talking about how many games I was buying, which was to buy no more games this month. I got 1 out of those 3. Guess which one?
I believe it was the buying no games.
I was going to say, they're all very possible to do.
Now, you did... go ahead.
Right, yeah. Well, I'll go through. I did unlock some off my random to-do list. I didn't get to 10, but I did unlock 7 of them, and that's probably more than I've unlocked in the past 3 months. So that's
pretty good. Though.
That's pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. I only completed
70% is a C. I mean, so that's
well,
not
yeah.
too bad.
Depends on what country you're in. Old country, that's like a B-.
I only completed 1 game this month, so I didn't. Only knocked 1 off the completions challenge. I did a bunch of work on others, but I just with the GTA SC starting, I just didn't quite have enough sort of time and focus to dedicate to finishing those off. But I did manage to not buy any more games. I did add a few freebies to my account.
See, there's a bit of a technicality on that one. I did have a couple games for you show up at my door.
Yeah,
but I believe those were free. So
they were free. They cost on the Achievement Hounds. They've got a like a sort of an achievement points kind of system. Whenever you post, you get these points, and they accrue and so forth. And occasionally, people for whatever reason just sell games for the value of these points. Now, to me, they're worthless. Basically, I post on there every so often, and it just adds up. So I had lots and lots and lots of points. They didn't cost me anything to get them. So I just ended up picking up a couple of games. So those I consider free. Plus the games with gold, of course, is free. So those were the only ones I added to my tag or to my collection since the challenge was put there. So as we're recording this, it's the last day of the month. So by tomorrow, I'll have about another 90 games on my card, I think.
I was going to say, in theory, the other caveat is, as of recording, although you are in the future, there's still technically probably 12 hours.
That's true. Yeah, I've still got to get through the next 6.
Still have to hold out.
The next 6 hours to get through. Yeah, I don't know.
He's twitching right now. You should see him on the Skype video. He's freaking out. He's got the shakes.
So how about you, Crandy? How'd you go this
well,
month?
my goal to finish Grad did not do it.
Make some good progress, though.
I guess. I don't know. See, I don't know. I don't know how much is left.
Vacation. That's what was tough.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah. I know it's close. So we'll see. And by finish Gra, I mean finish solo champion. The rest of the game's pretty easy, but
wait a second.
the rest of the game will come quickly. Believe me, I want it done.
Quickly relative to solo champion. Yes. I think anything is quick.
No, it's with the number of copies of Gra I have, nothing is a problem with Gra. But yeah.
So all right. So that was January. Freem, yes. Terragon, kind of. Crandy, not so much. February then. So Crandy, what have you set a goal for February? Do you have any plans?
Yeah, we're gonna go with something new. Finish Gra.
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard of that one. What's that one again?
Oh, it's real tough.
It's
real tough.
Do you need to spell it out? Because all of a sudden I'm hearing you changing the rules.
Because you gotta keep playing Gra until you're number one on solo champion.
Okay,
right. That's it. It's pretty crazy, pretty tough.
Mark it down. What about you, Terragon?
Well, I still want to work on my to-do list, so I'm probably going to chuck another goal for 10, although I think we're running out of time on that one, so I might actually need to kind of bump that up and go for 15. You know, don't meet the target last month, go for a higher one this month. That's the motto. And I'll still be working on completions, but I don't think I'll make it a goal per se. But what I might do is maybe ask listeners, actually, maybe set us some goals, because I think people can come up with some inventive goals for us, either to work between ourselves, challenge each other, or even challenge listeners. I'd love to hear people giving us challenges like that, as I'm sure you guys would as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think the only thing for me will be just be the great to-do list challenge, and of course just working on GTask in general.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So my goals, so I've set 3 for sure, and you may have a sneak peek of these already because I officially set them up on TA. So if you're part of my friend feed, you already saw these goals go up. I'm gonna complete Life is Strange. I have the season pass. I haven't started it yet. I'm really excited about it, and what I want to do is I just want to get in and do the whole thing. I know it's episodic, but I feel like if I don't commit to doing it all, right, like binge watching, exactly. So February is going to be my Life is Strange month. I also want to complete Iron Brigade. Now, that was a Games with Gold game forever ago. I've gotten all of the achievements outside of the DLC except the last one where you have to grind out emplacement kills to get the Psi armor, to be the Psi agent, right? To get the cosmetic things, to get that last achievement. But I've added that I should just get the DLC and finish it. That Martian Bear, I can work on my emplacement kills while I'm doing the Martian Bear stuff, and I think I need to maybe set up a boosting group for that one. But I think I'm adding the DLC. I don't want to spend money on DLC, but I want to legit.
It's pretty fun. I did that one on PC. In general, the game's pretty good. I remember the DLC being kind of tough, but not impossible by any means. It wasn't, it's the same thing. It's you level up a bit, get some better weapons, you're good. Yep. I don't remember if I did it co-op or not. I think I just did the main game co-op, and I think I did the DLC separate. But that one was a little tough for me because they patched. It was only available on Steam. They patched Games with Windows Live, so a lot of people lost it. So I got it right at the end. And after it was patched, but that one I finished that one up. It was a fun game though. The DLC was not bad, and I usually hate DLC.
It's not
so
I think it's $5, so it's not crazy. So I think I'll commit to doing that. Now the third official challenge to myself is I want to unlock the Titan Mastery achievement in Destiny. I want to get my Titan leveled up and fill out all his stupid bubbles in to get that achievement. Because it's part of my goal is to complete Destiny this year, so I got to start making some progress. So I figure
the last one from your base game completion on that?
No, because I still have to do the Warlock. And so the Warlock might be March, but he's further back. He's like level 15. The Titan I power boosted up to 25, and then he went up to 30. So I think I'm eight bubbles in, 8 of the 30 30 bubbles, I think. I don't know. I don't quite remember because I main a hunter, so I don't really play my Titan. But I need to start working on this game, and I figure, hey, we got the Crimson Days coming up. Love is in the air, and a coworker mentioned he might pull the trigger and buy the Taken King, so I might have a buddy to run with. So those are my goals. I'm also kind of debating about doing a bean dive in February.
Ooh.
Now it's like by the time I commit to doing it, it'll be about 100 games that I would need to do. The problem is those games. Some of those games are Killer Instinct, Dirt Showdown, Dirt 3, like games that I don't actually want on my card, but I technically own them, and I should just
Killer Instinct's a little pricey if you don't get the sales. If you want to finish that one off. Well, and Shadow Jago is delisted. You can't get Shadow Jago anymore.
No, and I'm not a completionist to that level, but like I don't know. I like my completions, but I'm not ridiculous about it. So I haven't committed to the bean dive yet. I don't know. Maybe I'll push it off till March or something. It's for the next to-do list challenge. Is why I'm doing it.
I'm the opposite. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
For me, it's because Facial's to-do list is going to end in April.
I think near the end of April. I think
April or May, and he's historically put in a deadline of if it's not on your card by this time, you can't. It can't show up for the next year. And it's like I've got a lot of new, like great new games that I would love if they happen to, like Ori and the Blind Forest. Like I would love if that showed up on my to-do list because I'm really excited to play that game. Karaoke Revolution, American Idol Edition. God, I don't want that on my. So if I can dilute that out, so it's like less likely to show up, then I'll that would be better.
Well, I can boost the MP on that one with you if you want.
Oh, there you go. So just to reiterate, like Terrigan said, hey, the community, you guys have already shown that you are super engaging. If you've got some great ideas for a challenge, if you're like, hey, I think Freem can outscore Crandy this week, or I want to see, McLovin Legend, I want to take out Terrigan on a, most games bought in a month. I don't know.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, you can get silly, whatever. I mean, of course, we have the right to just say, no, that's a terrible idea. We're not doing that. But, I think we would absolutely embrace anything that you guys send our way. So moving on to our next featured content here, Gamerscore Boot Camp. It's going to be Fright Night. That's not a game. Fight Night Round 3. So here you go. Today's Gamerscore Bootcamp is Fight Night Round 3 on the Xbox 360. This boxing game came out very early in the 360 life cycle, back when developers were still trying to figure out what Gamerscore was. This game has a very straightforward list, 8 achievements, somewhere winning about 40 fights. They're all found along the story, but technically are missable if you happen to lose one of those fights. 4 of those only occur once during your entire career, but the other 4 happen periodically throughout your climb to the top. So you want to get this done the fastest, say 4 or 5 hours for the full 1000 gamer score? Then I hope you don't mind cheating. No. Not like this terms of service issue. Rather, an in-game option to make life easier. Prior to launching your career, there are some options you want to play with. First, in character customization, go to Physique. You'll want to be a heavyweight and as tall as possible. This will have your hits do more damage and your reach be really long. For your champ rankings, put your top 4 attributes at 30% and the bottom 4 at 20%. Secondly, go take a stop at the fight store. Head to the illegal head punches. I picked up the elbow shot. Then go to the illegal body punches and get the knee. Finally, head to the options in gameplay. Set the difficulty to easy. Turn off auto-saving, in case you happen to lose a match. Turn off illegal blows. This will prevent your opponent from using them against you. Turn on the 3 knockdown rule, meaning if you knock the guy down 3 times, the fight is over. And turn on the HUD, the heads-up display. That should make your life much simpler. Now, when it comes to actually playing the game, in each fight, you're going to hold the left trigger and spam the B button, and that'll constantly knee your opponent in the crotch. You can also hit B by itself to throw your elbows around, and that's pretty much it. You'll do this over and over and over until you've won all your games in a row. A couple quick tips. Power through it. I had an issue where I quit halfway through and it lost my saved game. The second time I did it and stopped halfway through, it was fine, but I did have to replay an hour or so, which was kind of a bummer. So if you can commit to the full 1,000, go for it. Also, grab the free trainer and do the auto leveling. It saves time, and since you're cheating, you don't really need to optimize your boxer. You want to spend the money on the gear instead. You also want to balance out the stats. After your initial setup, kind of keep the stats balanced as you do that training with the same emphasis on the top 4, but don't overlook the bottom 4. Finally, it's kind of boring. You're doing 40 fights where you're just kneeing and elbowing guys in the crotch and face. Kind of gets monotonous. I would throw an occasional haymaker in there, elbows every now and again, just to break up the monotony. But I would totally recommend listening to music or podcasts to keep you entertained. Might I suggest the back catalog of Z2Z podcasts? This has been this week's Gamerscore Bootcamp. Fantastic, and so hopefully that's helpful. Just as helpful will be the massive Knobs and Discos Bugs and Glitches section. So what exactly do we have going on?
Well, we've got a lot this week. So first off on my list, we have Guitar Hero Live, the Toppest of Top Drawers achievement, which is for reaching level 20, which has been broken since mid-December, was finally patched for the Xbox, and I actually earned it on the 360. It is fixed on both the 360 and the One, so if you need that, I would do it as soon as possible because it seems like they keep breaking things with updates. Continued, the Guitar Hero Live consecutive login achievements are still messed up. Sometimes they don't count and they break your streak. They are not discontinued, but they are very glitchy, so be careful on those. Additionally, this is broken from the same patch that broke Tops of Top Drawers. Bling of the Road is discontinued in Guitar Hero Live on the 360. We've seen no unlocks since mid-December, just like Tops of Top Drawers. This is unrelated to the most recent patch, and the most recent patch did not fix this. So that one is for equipping 5 highways. Very easy achievement. Unfortunately, also broken. This one came out of nowhere. Toro's unobtainable achievement has been fixed. That one I'm looking forward to because Toro is not a fantastic game.
It's an awesome game.
Okay. Next, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 360. The Seen Some Things achievement was patched, now finally unlocks. That one was quite disappointing as it's a very extensive achievement, and when people finally got to it, it didn't work. So my understanding is it does just unlock. I don't know if it's when you boot up the game, when you play a match, but it does check if you've met the requirement and will unlock. Zero's achievements should be working now. Unfortunately, a lot of them still haven't been unlocked because the game is super broken and bad.
Oh no.
The app Stars Play has been fixed, making Snapped and Movie Lover obtainable again.
Is that sniped, or is that a typo?
I might be snaped. Could be
Okay.
snapped. It's for snapping a movie.
Right, that should be snapped.
I think it's probably snapped, and I just typoed that one.
Right.
So yeah, that's a weird, obscure app. I don't know what it is, but it was fixed. Killer Instinct, Mural Artist, is partially discontinued now. They released a patch that fixed Rivaled, which is for completing the Season 2 story mode, broke Mural Artist, which is for completing the Season 1 story mode. Fortunately, since Season 1 was released on disc, the Mural Artist achievement is obtainable on an unpatched version offline. It's a huge pain, but it is doable. It will probably be fixed in the future, though. They've been pretty good about fixing those in Killer Instinct, so watch out for that one. Maybe grab Rivaled now while you can. And that long list concludes Knobs and Discos for the week.
Actually, there's one more there. There's Fours Company from Roblox.
Oh, right. I forgot to put a note on that one.
That was a late one. I think that's one for just getting in a party of with 3 other people and playing Roblox together.
It's with 3 friends on that one.
Yeah, super simple to do, doesn't unblock. So, yeah.
And there's been a lot of testing on that one. There's been a number of groups that have tried a lot of things, and it is definitely messed up. So,
yep.
That one's a mess.
Wah, wah. Super bummer. Other bummers are game delay roundup. We already kind of talked about this. Mighty Number 9, game delay. That's a pain. Backwards compatibility. Don't really have any news in backwards compatibility. They're not going to do any lists anymore. There was some rumors out there that Left 4 Dead is getting people are getting downloads if they put that in there.
Left 4 Dead 2, some people have been able to download and play it on backwards compatibility, but it is not widely available. But the times when that's happened before, that usually indicates it's coming. In fact, I saw a comment on Reddit in a thread that sort of was talking about it, and it was from Xbox Quick going, tusk, tusk. So obviously it was released by accident, and it's not
Stop
due.
trying to put games in.
Yeah. But yeah, so Left 4 Dead 2 coming to backwards compatibility eventually. Not sure when.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, my zombie news corner. Couple of items here. One is, so there's some announcements today at PAX South for the Umbrella Chronicles, and I'm super bummed that this is not coming to the Xbox One, at least initially. It's a PS4 and PC release, multiplayer only, but they're making it sound a lot cooler than Operation Raccoon City. It's reduced price. It's only $30, but it's supposed to still look nice. And apparently it plays a little bit more like Call of Duty, a little bit more faster pace than the tradition, that third person shooter that was the awful Raccoon City.
See, I actually really liked
super
Raccoon
bummed it's
City.
not coming. Did
but
you really?
I took it as a third-person
not
shooter, not
care
as
for
a
it.
Resident Evil game. So maybe that's kind of why.
Yeah, I could see that. It was not great. The other thing, and unfortunately, it's getting terrible reviews, but releasing this week, the day after my birthday, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is coming out. This is it's a book based on the Jane Austen book Pride and Prejudice. Which, so I actually read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I know I hate reading, but I actually read this book. It took me like 3 years to read because it's written like Pride and Prejudice, like very hoity-toity 16th century or 19th century England, like very dry, very kind of blah. Like I'm not a big classical reader. And so to get through this was a struggle. Now, seeing these, beautiful 19th century English women just destroying zombies with swords, that's kind of piqued my interest a little bit more than what the book had done. And the book was fine. I enjoyed it, but it was not amazing. And apparently, this is getting what? So IMDb's got this at 5.3 out of 10 stars. I don't know how many people have actually seen this yet, but there you go. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies releasing this week. So, with that said, I think it's time to wrap up the show. Thank you so much again for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. I loved recording it. I hope my co-host did too. What we do hope that you guys could do is help us out by reviewing us. You can review us on iTunes, Stitcher, like we mentioned. We're now there, and whenever Google Play is up and running, they've said that we're on. They've given us the thumbs up. So whatever you happen to be listening to for this podcast, it's a totally free way to support the show and lets other people know that it exists. Just like all the social media stuff you've been doing.
Absolutely. Share us on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, all those kind of things. Share us on TA. You can share blog posts and so forth. I post a blog post for each episode. If you can share that as well on your feeds, that'll get the the info out there as well. So anything you can do like that will help us out.
Super helpful. We also take a listen on YouTube. Tell us what you think. We've got these subsections all broken up into pieces, so you can watch little tiny pieces, or go ahead and get the full playlist episode and listen to the whole darn thing, and let Trandy know what you think. So that's a fantastic way to get the show. Or you can get the show at our website, Z2Z.com, ZEDTOZED. There is especially important because you can find show notes, that picture of the crazy Australian badge of Frank West's car, which I think, they've got credits, all sorts of links to all the fun stuff that we talked about on the show. Typically, the best way to talk to us is at Twitter, because between Terrigan and I, living on opposite sides of the globe, somebody's always watching the account, usually. And that's at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED. Of course, you can always email us at contact@Z2Z.com as well.
Just a note with the Twitter as well. If we don't respond to you, that probably means that we've earmarked it for an episode. So we'll respond in the episodes generally. Sometimes we will respond directly, but that's if it's more kind of conversational. But if you don't get a response back, don't feel disheartened. It probably means it's going to get into the next episode.
That's a good point. Yeah. And, if I give you my thumbs up or star or heart or whatever Twitter's doing for the week, you know where else you can find us? TA, TrueAchievements.com. We've got a leaderboard set up that'll let you know when the new episode comes out. We also have a private Facebook group to try and keep out all the riffraff, but it's totally free. So if you just want to be in, you can be in. We just don't want bots in there. Anyway, that's a great way to start up a community and get chatting, meet some other people who like the show. We can talk to you as well. Plus, I think you can see my face on there. So if that does anything for you. I do want to give a shout out to all of the sites that make Achievement Hunter reality, specifically TrueAchievements.com, Achievement Hounds community and their podcast, XboxAchievements.com, Rooster Teeth, everybody who has helped out with achievement and achievement hunting, and of course Microsoft for the beautiful Xbox console.
Yep, just one thing there as well. I forgot to mention it earlier.
What's that?
On the Achievement Hounds podcast, Rav actually gave us a shout out, so I just wanted to say thanks Rav, that was awesome. That was all.
Yeah, totally appreciate that. And so with that being said, on behalf of Terrigan